Greetings, one and all, and welcome to the first episode of Aluminum Spork. We are going to be talking aliens. We're going to be talking alternative history. We will be talking theories, conspiracies, all different things. And tonight, for the inaugural episode, I think I said that right, we're going to be discussing Hollow Earth. The reason I picked Hollow Earth is because I actually find it to be a very interesting theory. We'll discuss the actual mathematical theory compared to the conspiracy theory, you know, the one where like Hitler is still alive, half robot flying, you know, spaceships down in underground to Araglia or something like that. Anyways, so that's what we are going to do. So we are going to go over Hollow Earth. We're going to see why it's gotten a bad name in the last century. Actually, it's really been the last 50 years. And we'll be taking your comments and definitely your super chats. But we do have a guest tonight. And the first guest of the night is author Stephen. You know him as Lodanos. Lodanis. I screw that up every time. He's the author. Stephen Walton.
The author. What's going on? I like that one. What's up? Hail the chat. Good to see you guys. Thank you so much for coming here. Looking forward to tonight. Scotty's really excited to talk about Hollow Earths and stuff, and he's going to educate me. Thank you guys so much for being here. Support your fellow YouTubers. Support your other people out there. Your independent creators. That's the most important thing. And we're not going to be talking about entertainments tonight, but it is very important. I'm just going to say in the outset to support your content creators, your YouTubers, no matter what platform that they're on, your independent authors, your comic book artists. It's important to support the indie. We don't have an industry to support us. We only have each other, and we rise together. I'm looking forward to tonight. Please like, comment, subscribe, and share out the link if you would.
Yes, sir. Yeah, share out that link. Tonight. You know, it's a Monday night. We don't always have a big group on a Monday night. We have the devoted fans on a Monday night. So I love you guys. I like NZ. Greg says, hail, conspiracies? I think not. Now, I don't know if that means I'm leaving the chat or like, you know, conspiracy. No, it's not a conspiracy because to me, conspiracies are things that just haven't been proven yet to the mainstream. A lot of the conspiracies do come out to be reality.
Conspiracy fact.
Yes.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
You know, and these are things that the mainstream will make fun of you. Now, like with the Hollow Earth, Stephen, mainstream scientists think you're a kook if you believe in it. But yet some of the greatest mathematicians, Edmund Halley, Halley's Comet lore, he is, or the discoverer of Halley's Comet, the namesake, if you will. He believed in a Hollow Earth. Mathematically, he said it could exist.
Wow.
Yeah, other really intelligent, mostly mathematicians. A lot of them believed because of the way our magnetic core is, that there's a good chance the way the magnetic field works, that there is hollow in between the Earth, causing it to, I don't know, I'm stupid. I don't know exactly what this said, so we'll have to read it verbatim. But
you're supposed to educate me tonight, Scotty.
Yeah, I ain't educating nobody. We're going to be reading. I love this theory, and the problem with this theory, the bad rap it got, was it was combined with, go figure, those, you know, people that believe in flat Earth. And that is one conspiracy where I'll say, dude, what are you thinking?
I am way more into the Hollow Earth theory than I am flat Earth. That just does not make sense to me.
I mean, okay, so flat earthers believe that we live on a plate disk Earth that is spinning up into space. That's what causes gravity. It is like a bubble where the moon and the sun are rotating around us, and then they have a Game of Thrones wall of ice around the whole outside.
Gotcha.
Whatever.
Okay.
Hollow Earth, on the other hand, is something mathematically you could figure out. Now, scientists today will laugh at you if you say it. They believe there's the crust, there's the mantle, and then there's the core. But as late as 2014, scientists discovered a cavern that holds an ocean in it that they believe is 3 times the size of all the ocean on the surface
I was
of
just
the
reading.
Earth.
Yeah, I was just reading about that. It's in the mantle, I think they said it was.
Yes, it's like in a mineral layer of some sort.
Right.
It's 400 miles down.
I mean, my question would be then: is that only liquid water because of the pressure? I mean, the heat you would imagine would be boiling it from the core. So you know, is it like a boiling ocean?
I mean, it could be something to that effect, but also think about life finds a way.
Yes.
So water is one of those things where life finds a way. There are certain bacteria that live on the vents, like those lava vents at the bottom of the ocean. So even if it is boiling, I believe something can live there.
There's also like I was actually talking about this not too long ago with a friend. There's a type of snail in the Indian Ocean, scalyfoot something, that has an iron shell. So you're right. Life finds a way. I mean,
yes, it does.
You know, and there's also bacteria, microscopic organisms that exist in space. I mean, you're right. So I'm open to the idea.
Well, that's my thing. It's like, do I believe that there are advanced civilizations in the earth where there's atmosphere, sun, mammoths? Probably not. But do I believe that the earth is definitely more hollow than science wants to believe, and that life can find a way to make it anywhere? Yes, I do.
Well, I mean, I'll be honest with you. When the scientific community says this is this, and there's no, this is the law, I usually question it anyway.
Yeah, I have a question. What's the difference between a cavern and a cave?
Right.
Yeah, come on. It's cavern. It sounds cooler. Go ahead, though. I'm sorry.
No, the idea that there are that life would find a way underneath the surface, or what we consider to be the crust of the earth.
Yes.
I'm open to that possibility. Absolutely.
Let me ask you, Stephen, with all the technology and industrial tools we have, how deep do you think we have dug down?
Well, let's see, the Cola super hole.
Oh, you've been doing your research.
I was doing research today, Scotty.
I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you.
The super deep borehole, that, let's see, that went down how far? Let's see, it's 21 miles?
Is it even that far?
Hold on, let me see. It's 40,230 feet.
Yeah, I believe it's only like 8 miles to 10 miles deep. Okay, and the reason we stopped because it got too hot, they said. So the core is 4,000 miles deep. So you're telling me, with what you believe, your science isn't a hypothesis. That's the thing that bothers me with science today. There's no such thing as hypothesis anymore. It's locked in. This is the way it is. And if you believe anything else, you're on the fringe. Like people that believe in the impact theory during the Younger Dryas that wiped out civilization. I am one of those people that follows like Graham Hancock and those guys in that.
Absolutely.
But scientists they're arrogant, and their life's work depend on what people believe. So is it a culture of learning, or is it a culture of keeping their status and their income?
That is exactly it. People have built papers upon other previous work, and if you demolish that if you revise that previous work, or say, okay, we figured out something is different, everything that a lot of these academics have put together is thrown out the window. I understand wanting to protect what you have already established, but to do that and rob people of scientific knowledge or the exploration of the unknown or opening up the new possibilities, that is that's a crime, I think.
I'm muted. No, you're right. To stop the advance of knowledge is definitely a crime in my mind. And it's been going on since Galileo, since, what I mean? Like, since the ancient Greeks. And speaking of the ancient Greeks, they believed in a hollow earth. Tibetans, Buddhists, a lot of Southwestern America, Native Americans, and like more south into Mexico, they believe that their creator gods came from within the earth. There's a lot of stories about people coming from inner earth and bringing knowledge to the people on the surface. I mean, there are a lot of people that believe the Garden of Eden was in the hollow earth. That's why we've never been able to find it.
That's incredible. Going along with that, a lot of mythos since early history has had a lot to do with the underworld. I honestly, I'm with you with the Younger Dryas theory, with the double impact, the double flood theory that wiped out civilization and restarted it. And I think a lot of that has to do with people having to hide underground during those tragic times, high ground or end ground.
Yes.
But I mean, you're also talking about
keep going.
Civilizations who have for the longest time believed in a subterranean world, or an underworld, or whatever the mythos that they have purports it to be. that also kind of leans into interdimensional travel, which is a couple things that I brought up when I was going through my sojourn today, trying to just to look over Hollow Earth, which is something I think they can't be put aside either. I mean, there's a lot of ancient technologies that deal with using the ley lines of the Earth, magnetic, the magnetic poles, there are magnetic areas to create effects, using the megalithic megastructures.
Right.
A lot of the legends have to do with that. I know I'm veering off course, but
so many. No, but it's all part of it. It's all part of what this stream is going to be about. I like advancing in knowledge is one thing. Pseudoscience is another. That word pseudoscience does bother me because it's pseudoscience to somebody who believes their science is the right science. Like, yes, I get it. We have advanced really, really far. My sister is a microbiologist. My brother-in-law is a chemist, doctor, like a doctorate in chemistry. And they know their stuff. But you can't tell me that some new drug will come along that will cure cancer. You can't tell me that there won't be advances and that because someone believes in an alternative history or even like alchemy, like for centuries, we have believed in certain things and we've got in the last century because of technology, we've gotten away from it. And now we think we're too advanced for it.
I mean, there's also the idea that there are different technological tracks. I don't believe that our current rise of civilization and the way that we have attained technology could not have been the way that it happened before in previous civilizations. And any major cataclysm, I don't care what, even if within that theory, any major cataclysm to the Earth is going to erase technological advancement unless you're in space.
Well, think about it.
And away from it.
Think about it. After 5,000 years, what's going to be left of our civilization after a massive cataclysm? It'll be what we made in stone.
Exactly.
That's it. So
it'll be the Sphinx getting dated back 10,000 years. How did that happen?
How did that happen when there's so many now? There are a lot of people now that believe it is much older than that. Much older than that. And that's the problem. You got people in, archaeology to me is one of the worst fields because archaeology, it's a very closed group. And if you come with something that goes against what they believe, they will shut you down so you can't enter any of the debates, any of these things. That one dude who was running Egypt for the longest time.
I can't think of his name right now. I can't think of his name right now.
That piece of crap. Anytime someone wanted to change the history of Egypt, he would just kick them out of Egypt and not allow them to be part of it.
And during during the coup, when tourism was low, there was they opened up a new tourist attraction over in Egypt. $1,000 to spend a couple hours in this area where you go down underneath Cairo, 9 levels of construction to the bottom. They would walk you through and then out the side of a mountain. And if you on the sides of this huge cavern, you could see the wheel marks as if someone had come up with like a power tool and had shaven down the side.
Oh, too much proof.
It's too much, right? I mean, just something as simplistic as the Baghdad battery. It proves that they had a working knowledge of soldering, and so there is so much history that's been lost to us by by groups like archaeologists who protect their own narrative and protect their own work. I don't think that it's anything bad to open the door to the possibility that
that's what science is.
There are things out there that don't make sense in the current narrative as it is explained to us.
Yep. One of my biggest I'm a huge fan of Graham Hancock. I've been for decades now. Graham has gone from just a writer to with really abstract beliefs to someone who is a leading figure in the Younger Dryas cataclysm theory. And he has been every step someone trying to block him, smear his name. He is an intelligent man. He's a well-spoken man. He's an amazing writer. And the idea is that he brings a lot of proof to and a lot of it is theory, but there is a lot of proof. Like some of the cuts they make, some of the cuts in stone it could not be done with anything but power tools or even.
You're not doing with a fucking bronze chisel and
No.
pitch.
And put it this way, if the Great Pyramid was supposed to be a tomb, it would have took only 40 years. Like, you're building a tomb for a guy who would be dead before it was built. You know what I mean? Like, and why would the Great Pyramid that was done in the, Old Kingdom period be better technologically sound than the stuff in the New Kingdom?
Yeah, the
Because
way
the
they
New
tried.
Well, all I was going to say is the New Kingdom was copying something left behind that they didn't really have a knowledge of.
Mm-hmm. Well, okay. Well, first off, I don't take anything away from the human ego. Arrogance, and a megalomaniac might have put all the effort into a tomb that took 40 years to build. But no, I'm right there with you. Given the reactions of the radon. Is it radon radiation inside the King's Tomb or the main chamber?
Right. The chemicals they found.
The chemicals that they found there, the limestone caverns underneath, the electromagnetic field that would be created, the chemical reaction that would be created from the water entering the limestone going, the idea that, there are theories and ideas such as the obelisk being used to transport energy in those areas that I find fascinating, whether they're real or not.
They're all around the world, man. They're all around the world.
That it's something that should be looked into. I mean, you look at the amphitheater that was Stonehenge.
Yes.
You would have the druids or the bards that would be in the center of this amphitheater, this resonance chamber of bluestone, giant bluestone that would transmit
coming from miles away.
Well,
look, Stephen, this is what gets me. Scientists for the longest time, we were around for 200,000 years, fucking scratching our balls and gathering food and running away from, saber-toothed tigers. And then all of a sudden, boom, Samaria. And we are now building cities and farming. And that's it.
No,
it's only a couple thousand years old.
The Sumerian texts themselves, I mean, the Epic of Gilgamesh talks about previous civilization.
Many civilizations do that.
Yes,
Look,
yes.
The Dalai Lama says he's the representative of the outer earth. That that is his job. He has a counterpart within the earth.
Get out.
Dude. They believe there's a city within the earth. And I'm blanking on the name of it. We'll have to look at it if someone could.
And Russia didn't build it during the Cold War.
Yeah, right. Right. But the Dalai Lama is the representative on the outside, while that person, and he's the defender and protector of the entrance into that inner earth, which is
in Shang-Chi.
Yeah, Shang-Chi, that son of a bitch. Look at the Indian texts, the Vahmanahana.
Oh, I know. I can't.
I can't say it.
But they talk about the kingdoms that existed, a million years ago. But what really interests me, if I can just offshoot for a second, what really interests me are the temples in India, the Hindu temples that have depictions of space or people in vehicles, flying vehicles, space battles.
Same in Mexico.
What about the glass from nuclear explosions that happened in that area? There's I feel that
these are stories they talked about in the how do you say that word again?
Help us, Grant.
Yeah,
you're the smart one here.
Is it Katrina? I don't think it's actually Shangri-La. Shangri-La is in the mountains. It's another name that's inner earth.
You're gonna make me look it up and try and pronounce this thing.
But I can't remember what it's called. Shit, the Valhalla. Oh God, that's
Asian Valhalla.
Somebody in the chat help us out.
The Indian text. Wow, this is a really great first episode, Scott. Well, we weren't going to talk about that, so that's why. But they talked about these battles from the sky gods. They talked about an arrow shot that pretty much showed a nuclear fallout. And then we found vivification. Is that how you say it? Vivification, the glass, the sand turning to glass and stuff. That there's proof of that. So all I'm saying is this, and another thing, Tesla studied the ancients, and all he was doing was adding to what the ancient Egyptians did with obelisks.
Yeah.
So these things, we're not smart. All right. We're arrogant, and we think we're so more advanced than the people that came before us. Our civilization has been knocked to the ground multiple times. There has been, one time where we were down under 10,000 humans left.
Yeah.
So don't tell me we know everything. What I believe is there definitely was more advanced civilizations that have been wiped out and we had to restart.
Absolutely, and not only just that. I mean, the timetable of Homo sapien can possibly go back to 120,000 years, and if that is the case, we are talking about not just one hominid walking around the Earth, and several different cousins of humans walking around this planet at the same time. That gives the idea of the stories about the giants. Many of the ancient stories about the monsters that live in the hills, the woods, and so forth. I mean, just within the last century, there was still stories. I can't remember. I think it was in Southeast Asia. There were stories from like elders being passed down of the little people that would come down from the mountains and raid. I think that there's so much out there to explore, but we are being suffocated by people trying to protect their work rather than do the exploration into different theories that may garner wonderful stories of the human experience altogether.
Yep. So that's kind of stuff we're gonna be covering. I
love this
week in, week out, at least until House of the Dragon comes out. But we
prove it true.
Right. And also this will, every second or third week, this will be a members only stream. So if you are a member, that will be a perk I finally give you guys. And I just want to thank all you members out there, people that have been gifting memberships. I've been blessed these last few weeks on YouTube, so I really appreciate it. Also, there was something we will usually start at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. It's just I had family obligations until 8:30. So most of the time we'll start an hour early, but let's get into this. So the hollow Earth is a concept proposing that the planet Earth is entirely hollow or contains a substantial interior space, notably suggested by Edmund Halley in the late 17th century. The notion was disproven first tentatively by Pierre Bourget or something like that in 1740. Then
goddamn French, always ruining everyone's fun.
Right, and then by Charles Hutton and Chichelon in his Chichelon experiment in 1774. I still think there's a chance. There's a difference between the
Chichelian, yes.
Chichelian. Yeah, you know that one? Okay.
Yeah.
There is definitely a difference between the Hollow Earth mythology and the chance that I believe the mantle definitely has more open caverns than science would like to believe. And it's a really cool goddamn theory. Like it has just some great stories, some great folk. But
find some Morlocks.
Right, man. So in ancient times, the concept of subterranean land inside the earth appeared in mythology, folklore, and legends. The idea of subterranean realms seemed arguable and became intertwined with the concept of places of origin or afterlife, such as the Greek underworld, the Nordic Shartafelherm.
You got the same Wikipedia page up I do.
I'm totally reading Wikipedia right now.
Good.
I meant to give that a prop so people don't get mad at me. The Christian hell and the Jewish Sheol, with detailed descriptions, inner earth in Kabbalistic literature, such as the Zohar and the Hesel. So, just to make it, according to
I missed that last
groups,
one again. What was that one? If you explode after saying that, we're in trouble.
Yeah. The idea of a subterranean realm is also mentioned in the Tibetan Buddhist belief, which we talked about. According to one story from Tibetan Buddhist tradition, there is an ancient city called Shambhala, which is located inside the earth. So it's not Shangri-La, it's Shambhala. The Greeks...
Same thing.
Yeah. So again, we're going back. The Greeks, Celtic mythology, the Druids believed in an inner earth. There's ancient story, not ancient, but stories of a brother and sister that appeared in an English country town that were of green skin, almost like you know what? We'll bring that one up too, because
that is a cool story.
Very cool story.
Yes.
You have Admiral Byrd who flew over the North Pole and Antarctica. And when after the Antarctic flight, he was in South America somewhere and gave an interview where the interview sounds like he's admitting to a hollow earth. They flew him back to Washington and everything was just stopped right there. He would not talk about it again till late after his retirement. He would speak very vaguely about something. There's an interview where if you don't know what he's talking about, you would be very confused, but he's kind of saying it without saying it, that there's more advanced
Sounds like the giant bones in the Smithsonian that just disappeared and nobody talks about anymore.
Right. That's one we will be talking about in a future one, giants. So there's a lot of natives too, that Native American, like North American cultures believe in inner earth. You got the Trobriand Islands believe that their ancestors had come from subterranean. So it's going back, even in the Middle Ages, the Goths hold up the mountains located between Eshenach and Gotha, believed to be holding an inner earth portal. Siberian tribes believed in it, that they were protecting an inner earth portal. Go ahead. What were you going to say?
I mean, and why would ancient peoples, other than looking up in the sky and wondering what's there, and looking, underneath their feet and wondering, why would there be so many legends about the underworld?
Right.
It's prolific all across history, and they're not all bad. Most people look at like the night and day aspect of things, and they're not really. I mean, Osiris was the king of the underworld after he had been resurrected, and shepherded people through the underworld caverns. You were brought up.
Dude, it was the well, let's just say it. I'm one of them. The Christians, they ruined the underworld. They turned it into a hell. They never actually said it was an underworld. I think people just started implying that.
Well, I mean, it's already. This is something that is ingrained in the human experience, in our mythos, all across, thousands upon thousands of years, and in my opinion, tens of thousands of years. That's why we have the stories we have from this current rise of civilization. Right. I believe that within our overall human experience, looking at certain things, there are callbacks to it that are just native to us, because there is truth to it. I think someone in the chat earlier had said, mythology, most of mythology has a grain of truth in it.
Well, of course, every great story has a grain of truth. It came from somewhere.
Right.
Think about, okay, so if you do believe in the Younger Dryas cataclysm impact theory, think that there was a more advanced civilization. I'm not saying how advanced, but more advanced where, before the finding of Göbekli Tepe, I always say that wrong, before we discovered that, there was no way anyone before Sumeria could have ever built anything of great on that massive scale, because they were just hunters and gatherers. Well, they proved that wrong, because that's 12,000 years old. I believe, and it was actually buried on purpose. Who would have done that except for somebody that knew something was coming and were trying to protect their history. So the arrogance is what we got to get through.
Absolutely. And I mean, even before that, Scotty, you look at the onset of the last ice age, which happened, 22,000 years ago. That would have been a cataclysm to some civilizations across the earth. A drastic change in temperature, a slow growth. We don't exactly know how slow and gradual it was, but let's just say it was.
Well, they're starting to say the Younger Dryas. I mean, it was a quick spike, drop, spike, drop.
Right. Within 1,000 years in the middle, where people had it long enough to recover, and then hit them again.
Some of them said, from hot to cold was like maybe only decades long. So like the water, that's where the myths of, flood myths come from, because it was so quick. People didn't realize, the coastlines, 400 miles of coastline around the world. So think about standing in New York and then you're 400 miles, or maybe it was 40. I might be screwing that up, away from the ocean, all that wiped out.
Just imagine the ingrained shock, the damage done to the human psyche if something like that had happened. And also, there are many ancient gods during that time all talked about wrath and ruin and major destruction and cataclysm. And I think a lot of that
was definitely the flavor of the month back then. That's for sure.
Yeah, well, I think that has a lot to do with the idea of, this happened before it could happen again.
Yes.
I mean,
think about the Egyptians' history. is we didn't do all this. It was our ancestors. They lived for they would be hundreds and thousands of years old. I don't know if I could believe that, but their king's list goes back centuries, millennia. We always think mythology. You put it really perfect, Walton. Mythology is not just stories. It's their way of passing down history,
right?
The way they saw it.
Yeah, through song, through like the bards did. One other thing you had mentioned earlier, several times now about academics protecting their work. Sometimes you have to get hit over the head to find something. There were stories of mummified lions in Egypt that, but they were always just stories until they actually found a mummified lion cub. Right. And now there it is. That's proof. There's no way you can dispute that. So how far does that stretch? Right. They had mummified crocodiles. They had all kinds of stuff.
Hell yeah.
And
the people that say like ice ages happen gradually, but yet we find hundreds of mammoths in Siberia that died with food in their mouth, frozen instantly.
Yes.
The belief, someone put it, I think it was Soul Assassin, the map that shows the rivers and mountains in Antarctica. It's a map that shows exactly where these rivers and mountains are, but yet it was supposedly covered in ice for millions of years.
Explain to me the little ice age back in the 1700s when the Delaware was frozen over. Yeah. You don't see that today. You hadn't seen that in 100 years, but those can happen. We don't know the cycles of this planet. We don't know what happens when we go through a solar storm. We don't know what causes it. What causes it? The Great Progression, is something that happens. It's calculated like every 3,600 years, something like that. We have no idea what happens through that. Right. But there were people who calculated it, like the Egyptians, like the Aztecs. Yes. Imagine being so mathematically sound, or so sound in knowing that there are great progressions that happen on this planet because of the stories and myths that have been handed down, that you actually keep clocks that go over thousands of years.
Oh, I mean, and that's a good point. We talk about like people that don't believe in, our ancestors being highly advanced. That can't happen. But think about just what happened after the fall of Rome. The fall of Rome, after 100 years, they almost were like, it was devastated. Now, don't get me wrong. We make the Dark Ages seem so dark. There was advancement, but not the way the light of Rome was, and not until the Renaissance.
The Byzantine Empire, yes.
The western side or eastern side, yes, but the West.
Well, that's a great example of the psychological damage that can be done to a civilization when you have a height and then it is reduced. When you take away the Roman Empire, the Western Roman Empire, you take that away. You take away the infrastructure, the aqueducts, the stead. They may have been terrifying to some people, but you could depend on the trade and you could depend on what was going on at that time because of their. Once you take that away, and everybody's isolated back in their own little pockets and tribes, and the roads are falling apart, you lose something. There's an insecurity that falls over you. You're now way more susceptible to prey animals, to being raided. That's just a small example of what can happen. The Dark Ages, like you said, much more scary in retrospect because of what those people went through. And I think the same thing is applicable to things like the Great Flood story, the Younger Dryas, the damage and that was done during that time to the psyche of humans and as far as their advancement. I know we're way off Hollow Earth. No. My bad.
That's what we're all about that. It kind of goes hand in hand with this idea. Look, concrete evidence that there was, Atavatabar inside the earth? No. But 4,000 miles, I understand mathematically and with magnetic readings, they believe what they believe. But until someone goes, center the earth style, what was that movie again? With freaking $1 Million Baby, where they're going through the middle of the earth to nuke the core to restart it.
The core.
You can't tell me that it's as solid as they believe. I don't think it's as open. I don't think there's a sun in the middle, but not to believe that there could be life of some form within the earth, to me, is arrogant.
It's absolutely arrogant. It has to be. And I'm sorry, but okay, it may not be mammals, but who knows what evolution? Because evolution finds a way. What type of creatures could have evolved in that environment?
I'm glad you bring that up.
Who could be semi-intelligent?
The Hopi believed in. They called them the Ant-Men. There's other legends of lizard men. There's other, and that the lizard men one I find interesting because then you go back to, and I forgot to look it up. You go back to that story in England of the two children that showed up. Green.
I want semi-intelligent anthropod civilization. That's what I want to see.
Yeah, right.
8 terrifying eyes. Oh man. Hey, hail the chat. Hail Eric.
Thank you.
Hail Awesome One. Hail the Time Private. Thank you guys so much for being here. Soul Assassin. Look at the lockdown and great freeze that hit Texas. People went nuts. Exactly. People don't know how to handle. Sometimes when you're used to doing something and used to a certain comfort level, you have no idea what kind of damage is done. Look at the Koof lockdowns. Look at the damage that was done there. Look at how the certain rates of sad things just rose. There is Andrews 46 and 2. What's up? Hail, brother. I haven't seen you before. Thank you so much for being here. Hope you subscribe to the channel. There is life at the bottom of the ocean that live off sulfur pockets. Nature is weird. Yeah, man. Absolutely.
Yeah. Andrew, you must have missed when we just brought that up at the beginning. Because Stephen did say they found a cavern where they believe there's 3 times the amount of all the water on the surface of the earth within the earth. Okay. They just found that in 2014. So you're not telling me that there can't be other massive caverns like that have some form. I mean, fish could evolve to create their own light. And that's on the surface. Right.
Bioluminescence. Absolutely, dude. I mean, okay, you think he was just bringing up the sulfuric, the creatures living in high temperature sulfuric vents. So if there are some types of river systems or oceans down there, whether it's locked in minerals or so forth, nature finds a way. Who's to say that there are not things we would look at and consider fish or some type of animal that have evolved in that environment to endure it and have its own ecosystem within it? We don't know. Right. Those are very interesting propositions to me.
Oh no, definitely, man. And that's why do I believe in every conspiracy I hear? No, but I like to put myself in the mindset of, okay, let's say it is real. I try to do like a scientist is supposed to. I try to prove it wrong. But the beauty of, again, you were kind of touching on this before, the beauty of a good conspiracy is based in reality. And there are some far-fetched ones, but there's also ones that could it be real? I mean, look at, if you told me 20 years ago, the conspiracy idea that, either Russia or China are sending over, people to indoctrinate kids in colleges, I would have said you're nuts. Oh God.
And the thing is too, I'm sorry, Scotty.
Yeah, no, please.
The thing is too, is that we have been lied to so often. First off, we know damn well the word conspiracy is slapped on anything that the government wants to discredit. Right. And there have been, like you said earlier, there are so many conspiracy theories that have become fact. Right. So it's not an easy thing, in my opinion, to dismiss anything. You attach a conspiracy to it, I'm actually going to take a look at it now.
Right.
And it's not just out of, wanting to see an interesting myth. It's, who knows if there's a grain of truth to it, because we have been lied to so many times. And also because of the arrogance of the some academic communities, not testing theories, not looking into different theories. Right. That's maybe that's just me being a rebel, but that's how I think.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. I think it's smart to be open to new ideas and experiences.
Or a cool story.
Right. This is a cool story. So this is about the green children of Wolf Pit. So at harvest time one day during the reign of King Stephen, 1135 to 1154, according to William of Newberg, the villagers of Wolf Pit. The villagers of Wool Pit discovered 2 children, a brother and sister, beside one of the wolf pits. Yeah, I said the city of wolf pits. I meant wool pit. But they were next to the wolf pits that gave the village its name. Their skin was green, they spoke an unknown language, and their clothing was unfamiliar. Ralph reports that the children were taken to the home of Richard D. Cullen? Anyways, Ralph and William agree that the pair refused all food for several days until they came across some raw, broad beans, which they consumed eagerly. The children gradually adapted to normal food and in time lost their green color. The boy, who appeared to be the younger of the two, became sickly and died shortly after. He and his sister were baptized. After learning to speak English, the children, Ralph says, just the surviving girl, explained that they came from a land where the sun never shone and the light was like twilight. William says the children called their home St. Martin's Land. Ralph adds that everything there was green. According to William, the children were unable to account for their arrival in Woolpit. They had been herding their father's cattle when they heard a loud noise and suddenly found themselves by the wolf pit where they were found. Ralph says that they had been lost when they followed the cattle into the cave and after being guided by the sound of bells, eventually emerged into our land. The girl was employed for many years as a servant in Richard de Calney's household, where she was considered to be very, very wanton and impudent. William says that she eventually married a man from King's Lynn, about 40 miles from Woolpit, where she was still living shortly before he wrote. Based on his research into Richard de Calney's family history, the astronomer and writer Duncan Lunan has concluded that the girl was given the name
Agnes,
and that she married a royal official named Richard Barr. I mean, that is just, that's a lot more than just, there's some historical fact there. Mm-hmm. Can we prove that was real? No. Can we prove that she came from an inner Earth? No. I mean, that could have been a dimensional thing.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too, man. Yeah, because that part of the world, and in many ancient parts of the world, you talk about crossing over into other planes, which is another, which could also be, coming up through some type of cavern or some kind of underground society. There could be that, but that sounds dimensional to me, or another Earth. You know what I mean, like a parallel Earth. I like love those stories.
Yeah, me too, dude. Me too. Like people, there's that one where the guy was taking an air. He was flying into either like Japan or something.
No, the guy
flew into Japan, but his like visa was from some strange country that would have been in between Portugal and France. Like, dude, cool as shit.
It could also be a time-based thing as well, like the Russian guy Sergei. He had the thing from the 1920s, and he had a passport, and he had the camera and everything with the film that hadn't been used for 80 years, and then they found if you haven't heard this, it's an absolutely fascinating.
I don't know this one
thing. Yeah, so
we'll have to do one of those.
We'll have to do one of those, but essentially, a guy in Russia. Was stopped by police because he was looking confused, and he was asking for these specific streets. Right. Because he was looking for these streets. These streets hadn't existed in 30 years.
Oh, wow.
He took him exactly where it was supposed to be. He was dressed in an old-fashioned clothes. He had a passport, an ID from, I think it was like 1918 or something like that. Huh. They took him to a psych ward because they thought he was crazy. He had a camera that was brand new but hadn't been in production for 70 years. Film that hadn't been done. That there's no way it could have been kept around for 50 plus years.
Right, it would have went bad.
Yeah, and it was in this thing, and he was talking to different people about. He was fascinated by microwaves, hearts, hearing aids, and he was just a very curious sort of bloke. Went into a room for the night. They locked the door. Opened the door in the morning and he was gone. Bars on the windows and everything. Wow. Years later, they found a recording of him as an older man on one of their radio shows talking about all the stuff that he learned in 1985.
Wow.
When he apparently
that's kind of like the same story. That's kind of like the dude who flew into Japan. I think it was Japan.
I have it right here, actually, Scotty.
Yeah, go ahead, read
quick.
it.
So in 1950.
Well, before we read that,
sure.
I'm sorry. Katina Martin, one of my favorite members, says, "Okay, question. It seems like we keep getting reset. Do you think we do it to ourselves, or someone's doing it to us? Not saying it's true. Just wondering what you think." Thank you for the question. Look, I think the universe is very chaotic and crazy, and they're starting to realize that we've been hit with, like massive asteroids more than we thought, like 10 times more than we thought. Our science isn't up enough to follow all the, near misses we've had. So is there an intelligent life humming rocks at us? I can't say it's not. There's not. I just think it's the chaotic beauty of the universe. What do you think?
I think there's we're about to go through a great cycle. We're about to enter the age of Aquarius. We're going to the next procession. And I think that is going to create a shift in our consciousness from a more aggressive to a more intuitive, from masculine to feminine, if you will. And I'm hoping that, I'm not going to be around during that shift, but I'm hoping that will open the door to people researching more possibilities, not being so stagnant, but actually researching more possibilities into what we go through as humans, and the possibilities of each reset, the possibilities of what happens during those times or what could have happened. It's a shame, I feel like I was born a century early. I would have loved to have been a century ahead.
I'd rather be born
I'm
like back in the, I would like to be my age in the early 50s,
dude,
I made it through World War II, and, I'm ruling the world because, I'm a white guy.
Okay, I would have loved to have been around during Tesla's time and talked with him. You know what I mean? Around
too.
The Philadelphia experiment time. I would have loved to have been around that. That's a cool time in history. But the closer we get to a point where we have discovered how to time travel, for instance, right?
Yeah.
It's not too long ago, like 10 years ago, that in Australia, scientists were sending quarks back in time. Like particles.
So let me ask you a question: would you like a superpower where you can phase through time without affecting the timeline?
So like just a conscious observer without actually interfering?
Without, nothing you do can cause a change. Like maybe it was always meant to be. You never know.
You're talking about quantum powers, then the observer itself would change reality.
That's the power of God right there. Because you go back 1 minute and blow the earth up, and it has no consequence.
Right? Wouldn't that be dope?
Yeah.
Thank you to the 34 people watching right now. I know it's a later stream than I usually do. Like I said earlier, 7:30 Eastern will be this stream. Every second or third week, it'll be a member stream only, because you guys rock and you actually deserve perks. This Saturday, I would like to do before the dump, do a little bit early, maybe like 7:15. We'll do a member stream also, because we've gone up like 100. It's a crazy percentage because of everybody gifting members. My YouTube's been blessed this last month and a half. You don't get these little bumps a lot, so I appreciate it. In the next coming months and weeks, we'll have John Trent, Jeremy from Geeks and Gamers. I'm putting that out there because he won't lock down a date, and I want to make it kind of push him to it. I've been hounding him for fucking months.
Good.
He's cool about it. Hopefully Drunk 3PO, Ryan, will get Nerdrotic back on. I am a YouTuber's YouTuber. Okay.
Scotty, I hope, man, it's a great chance to meet those guys, man, when I did out in Orlando.
That's awesome that you got to
they're very cool people. So I'm glad to hear that they're going to be coming around, dude, because they are definitely...
They are. They're very supportive of all of us.
Yeah, they're genuine, man.
Yeah, they really are.
Mm-hmm.
So
we have, before we do that, we have the results for the poll.
Oh, what was the poll?
What's your favorite conspiracy theory?
Mm-hmm.
Coming in at dead last with 0% was flat Earth.
Yeah,
coming in second with 17% is the hollow Earth.
Okay.
Then we have at 30% fake moon landing. And then everyone's favorite conspiracy theory with over 50% at 53% is the lizard people.
Oh, I love the lizard people.
Oh, that's a good one. All right, I like to see how many people, what they believe with the moon. Is the moon an artificial satellite? Was the moon placed here, or was it a naturally occurring object?
There's no way,
dude. It's too perfect.
All right, give me take your time. Those.
While
those
you do
again.
that, Mr. Grant Gregory for 40 Filipino dollar. Is it Filipino?
Yeah, it's Indian rupee.
Okay, that too. Hollow Earth wouldn't catch me dead on this show. You're a kooky bastard, sir.
Oh man!
Thanks for the super chat, brother.
What were those choices for the poll? It's
okay.
artificially put there.
Is the moon hollow? is the moon a natural satellite, or was the moon put here by, superior beings so that it would really what it is, do you believe that the moon was put here to control, the weather on this planet? Because look,
to stabilize it.
Yeah, stabilize it. Let's take a look at our moon. Every other freaking planet that has a satellite, they always have 2 or more. Every other planet that has satellites, they're like these ugly little rocks mostly and weird shapes or frozen or this and that. Our moon is exactly 1/6 the size of our planet. Our moon is perfectly distanced that it could literally block out the sun. Perfect. Like that just doesn't happen naturally.
It's too
It rang
perfect,
like a bell.
man.
Like,
Yeah.
NASA proved when they dropped what was it, the boosters? I don't know exactly. I'm blanking right now. But when they threw back,
it was a satellite they threw onto the moon.
it wasn't a satellite. It was like their Eagle landing. It was like the landing booster. They bounced it back off, and the freaking thing rang like a bell for hours. I don't know.
Let's not talk about what I can't remember the name of the astronaut. I would love to research and talk about this, but there was an astronaut that talked about all the colors, all the different colors on the moon when they were going around it and orbiting it. Why haven't we been back?
Right.
Dude, no, it makes sense because the technology from the 50s and the 60s isn't as too advanced for a new technology. So and they accidentally destroyed all of it.
They forgot. They forgot how to make the stuff.
Well, dude, that happened. That happened in Game of Thrones. Daenerys forgot about the fleet. So
yeah, that does happen.
Yeah.
Hey, let's not forget astronaut Edgar Mitchell, who was the pilot of Apollo 14 and spent 9 hours working on the surface of the moon, believed in aliens, said that there were aliens, said they were waiting for them on the moon and watching them from a distance. These are people that, like, he's not a lunatic, well, he
has been certified though. That's what I mean. He has spent time in a mental health facility,
right? Because he tried to go against the narrative. That's what I'm gonna say.
And sometimes people who often see the truth or try and speak it are a little eccentric. But yeah, it just doesn't make sense. You're right, Scott. The whole the satellite itself does not make sense. I'm sorry. Twin Earth did not smash into Earth and create this perfect freaking 1/6 ball. I'm sorry. You're gonna
keep going, dude. We're it's an open discussion, man. Let's go where we go.
Gotcha. Yeah, but I know this is that's actually a topic I loved. Actually,
well, really Forbidden Ruin. Like, look, we're spitballing, brother. This is in reference to the moon. Why is the Earth off its axis? If the moon is fake, how did the two become how they are? Now, I'm just saying the theory is that intelligent beings put the moon in place to control the weather on the planet, control the tides, slow down the rotation of the planet so that life can grow without like just crazy.
That's a hell of a mega structure to build to mine gold, bro.
Right. Now off the axis, people believe it might have been one of the impacts that kicked it off. A natural thing that happened. I don't know. I am not smart.
I just assume that if that was the case, that would essentially mean the Earth is one giant petri dish and the universe is just a lab that people are running tests on.
I mean, why not? If you get to a point, look at what we do in our own,
Yeah, I mean that's why if you believe in any of the ancient texts, they all seem to live for thousands of years. The people, except we have 1/10 of that. So maybe we were given some sort of accelerated growth to see what would happen. Where the fungus.
Yeah, because Gilgamesh talked about that. The gods came down and fiddled with the people, and
I took that as they fiddled with them like sort of thing.
Think about the Sumerian mythology of Enki and his brother, and they literally made us to mine gold, which we now know that gold is needed in space flight. It's one of the best elements to use in computer
protecting
chips.
Radiation.
Radiation and I want to keep saying motherboards, but you know what I'm trying to say. I'm not smart. Stop it, people. But these are things that we did. for centuries, you're like, oh, why would they want gold if they could fly anywhere in the world? Well, there's reasons they would want gold, and they built us, created us to be a slave race, and we fought back, and Enki supported us. And just, it's a very interesting,
It is.
This is the same group of people, the Sumerians, that have, some of their artwork shows 9 planets. Pluto's a freaking planet, people. Don't you dare take that away from me. Like, how did they know what our solar system entailed? I'm going to get that picture. You guys keep talking.
No problem. And I think that, as far as I'm concerned, I think that goes to previous civilizations having technologies or advancements that we're not privy to, may not have been along the same technological track. A lot of the technologies that we have today are based on contained explosions. That is a very destructive method of generating power. Who is to say that ancients before us did not generate power through a passive means, using the electromagnetic currents of the earth, using some type of crystal technology? Who knows? There's stories of ancients being able to levitate people, using levitation technology.
Yep, like using sound.
Right.
Well, the Jedis did live a long time ago, so it does make sense.
It was a galaxy far, far away, a long time ago, yeah.
But I mean, it's we have been in a very aggressive masculine age. All right, when you look at the giant 50-foot statues of the pharaohs and the queens, is the queen sitting by her king, or does she have his hand on his lap saying, "This is my consort"?
Yep.
We go through natural changes, progressions within. Overall, as a planet, as we float around the sun and float around a galactic central point. And I think that we, just like all ebbs and flows, we go through intuitive times and then very aggressive times, very physical times. I think that we've been in a very physical masculine age for a long time, which is built on territory control, and we've lost the idea of how to look at ancient stories, or to spot out, because we've lost the history of it, ancient technologies that are probably out there scattered in the ruins. And like I said, I think we're moving into it. We're shifting into a new paradigm now, going back into an old flow. And I hope that as that comes, it opens people's minds to possibilities.
And that's why I brought this one up. I have a scientific brain. I can't quite ponder hollow earth or fake moon theory. I don't quite get it, but I love that you're still here. Yeah, and brother. You're like asking questions, throwing things out, like you and the Time Prophet. Like, I like that, because do I believe in all this stuff? There are some, if it was just us two talking, I would probably tell you the truth that I kind of believe in more than you would think. Like, Gary and I have had talks behind the scenes. We're both kind of crazy. And I think Steven joins us in that too. Like, no, I believe in shit that, it might make me look like a nutbag. But I appreciate spells. Yeah. Yes,
go on.
I appreciate people like you, Forbidden Ruin, that will, call out like, well, let's look at it this way and not be a dick about it. So thank you, man. The Anunnaki, these are them.
Yes.
Look at right
Bless
here.
You.
Wait a minute. Let me get to these so you can see my arrow right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then some in the outer rim. Let's not talk about those. But you have the sun in the middle. So they already knew the sun was the middle and the planets went around it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I just find that to be very interesting. Soul Assassin said asteroid belt was a planet. I believe that wholeheartedly.
Yeah, I think so.
I believe that's more of the Anunnaki, the Sumerians' history, where they said another, what was it? Nibiru came through and destroyed a planet. Like, if anything, I believe that was a planet. It got destroyed with an impact. Part of that destroyed the atmosphere that Mars had and left that massive scar on it. And that ran into Earth, and we caught it and made our moon. That's
over a long enough time. Okay, we live very short lives in as far as the galactic time frame. So there are our little solar system is chaotic. First off, we're flying through the universe. All right, we're flying. You don't know what we're going to run into on a long galactic scale. And then within our own solar system, you have planetoid objects that have long elliptical orbits that go out past the Kuiper belt and then come back in. Imagine the types of chaos that those gravity that gravity can cause.
Right.
But is there a possibility that in the early development of the solar system, where we had who knows, 12, 20 freaking planetoids that were coming together
Just
with
bouncing
around our
off each
sun,
other?
bouncing off, absolutely, and one smacked, the current accepted theory, which is one smacked into Terra, us, and then created this ball. Sure, that's a possibility. The perfection of it is why I question it, and why I like looking into those theories. Also, like I said, the fact that we've been lied to over and over again.
Well, I do have a question for the more scientific people out there. How is it that all the impacts on the moon, no matter the size, are like the same depth?
That's nuts.
That's nuts to me. And don't tell me it's the gravity.
It's catching asteroid impacts.
Right. It's an impact. How are they all the same size if it's not something that's built like, I don't know, iron, steel, and hollow inside with aliens watching us?
I mean,
it's a Death Star.
It's a refuel point. That's the point.
That's what Brian McCain said. Excuse me. Go ahead. Thank you, Brian.
Yeah, I'm saying it's a refuel point. All it's being hit with this iron and this other stuff. We just got to go get it.
Right.
It's like when you're playing a video game and it's like, all right, here's your items for your next upgrade. By the way, they're up on the moon. Now go get them. So then we've got to work. We've got to build the thing to get there, and then that's the next level. And then once we've got that, we've got to take it back to home base. Then we can build more stuff, and then we can go somewhere else. We're just in the early stages. We're still in the tutorial, basically.
And well said, Grant.
I like that.
Let's think about. Okay, let's go along that line of thinking. You talk about ancient texts and people saying that they lived for thousands of years, and perhaps we've lost that, or we've devolved out of that, or we're not being taken care of the way we were. What type of civilization, even long-lived, let's just say the longevity is thousands of years, would place something like the moon here? What would they do that for? Are we a petri dish?
Science
is this an
project.
Experiment? Is this a million-year-long
grammar school science project? That's how advanced they are.
Could be.
And we're just sitting in a dark chest somewhere in the garage, and that's why that's why it's cold.
Yeah,
it's dark. Yeah.
Little bit of light coming through.
We don't actually see the stars. That's just little pinholes.
Pinholes in
right?
the curtain.
Yeah.
Hey man, we're just an atom in some giant's body. I want another. If you could put up another poll.
All right, I'll just finish this one first. So
we're all about serving polls today.
What is the moon?
More of them. People like them.
3% said it's hollow.
Okay.
31% said it was artificially put there by aliens or something else,
wow.
and 66% say it's just a natural occurring satellite.
Actually, that's more people saying they thought it was put there than I would have thought. And I appreciate that's awesome. Now, my other question is this. Kind of going with Guy Vermechten's question or statement here. The Earth is old enough where there is the possibility that advanced civilizations have come and gone without a trace.
Absolutely.
Do you believe, yes or no, that mankind has gotten to a height of high civilization and were destroyed multiple times, or has it been just a straight hunter and gatherer and then all of a sudden we're building cities?
Take a step further than that, right? We're just talking about our breed of Homo sapiens.
Could I get that in a little bit of a shorter question for the poll?
Have we had multiple advanced civilizations, or normal timeline? I don't know how to say it. You guys know what I mean.
I want to take a step further with that, though. All right, we're talking just from the from our perspective as Homo sapien. What if there's another hominid civilization that had risen and fallen before us? This cycle could be going back 500,000 years. There have been upright bipedal hominids for 1 million years.
We were around when there were multiple different hominoids.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Neanderthal. There was the Russian ones. Where were they?
Indonesian, Homo erectus.
Yes,
there's tons.
The
of
Hobbit people of Australia.
Yeah, right. So who's to say that just because their brains were structured than ours? I mean, you look at it, biologically and make comparisons, absolutely. But who's to say that we weren't the Neanderthals to somebody else at one point?
Right.
We just outlived them.
Well, how about this? How about we ask Raging Rhino?
I don't even know
Thank you, Rhino.
Oh, thanks for that.
Thank you. He's a good man.
Hail Raisin. Hell yes, man.
What was that Culture? What did Culture just say? I kind of missed it.
What the fuck are you talking about?
Sorry, Culture. I'm sorry. We got off topic. Yeah, it's just
Here I was looking for him in the chat like a dumbass.
I was looking in the chat too, bro.
I did that with Raging Rhino. So we still have 39 people watching. Thank you so much. Again, let me say it one more time. We started at 8:30 Eastern tonight. We will be doing 7:30 every couple weeks. It will only be a member stream. And it's going to be this type of conversation we're going to have throughout the next few weeks until House of the Dragon comes out. I'll most likely start doing a House of the Dragon stream and then still do this one once a month for members. And thank you to all the new members, people that have been gifting members. I really do appreciate it. You guys rock. But back to what we've been talking about, which is not the topic because I love these type of streams. We just go with it.
I want to talk about Hollow Earth though.
Yeah, Hollow Earth is dope, dude.
Why don't you explain it to me? Like,
well, okay, so it started. It's gone back centuries, but Edmund Halley, he believed that the Earth might consist of a hollow shell. So the shell would be 500 miles thick, 2 inner concentric shells, and an innermost core. The atmospheres separate these shells, and each shell has its own magnetic poles. The sphere rotates at different speeds, and Halley proposed this scheme in order to explain anomalies, compass readings. So these weird anomalies he was getting. And
to protect us from the solar winds, I would imagine.
Well, that's what the magnetic it does. So
right.
Yeah, but he was getting weird readings, and he was like, if we were just a solid, Earth, we wouldn't be getting these readings. He envisioned the atmosphere inside as a luminous, like, the atmosphere itself is luminous, and possibly inhabited. He didn't say there were definitely, beings down there, and speculated that escaping gases caused the aurora borealis.
Okay, well, let's just hypothesize this for a moment. All right, so the center would, in my opinion, be a hot, bright light because of gravity, because of the pressure underneath of it. So
right.
That would explain at least some kind of a light source within the center.
But are you getting that's the thing. It's like, yes, it would definitely be a light source. How would it hold together though? If it wasn't enclosed,
It's holding it.
Yeah, gravity in some way. I don't know. It might have its own gravitational pull. I have no clue. You do have in 1818, John Cleves Sims Jr. suggested that the Earth consists of a hollow shell about 810 miles thick, with openings about 1,400 miles across at both poles, with 4 inner shells, each open at the poles. He also said he became the most famous of the early Hollow Earthers, and Hamilton, Ohio, even has a monument to him. Oh, that's really nice. He proposed he wanted to go to the poles. I think he died before that. Jerome Reynolds also delivered lectures on the Hollow Earth, arguing for expeditions. Sims himself never wrote a book about his ideas. Several authors published works discussing his ideas. So there are a lot about it, but they aren't from him. Definitely one of the better books people say, Hollow Earth, is a book from 1929, Elements of Natural Philosophy. Keep going, guys. What else?
Have there been expeditions? Has there ever been people who have gone on an expedition up to either pole? I imagine the North Pole will probably be the easier of the two.
Right. Well, we go to, let's see, hold on. There is I wanted to see if there was anybody before Admiral Byrd's flyovers.
Okay.
I don't see them.
Well, real quick, while you're looking that up, let me tell that story I was going to tell earlier about the guy in Tokyo. Yeah. There we go. You do that, and I'll tell the story. So on a seemingly normal day in 1954, a man allegedly flew into Tokyo, but upon landing in the Tokyo International Airport, His normal trip had taken a very drastic turn for the weird. He headed over to his passport to be stamped, and the man was immediately interrogated as to the whereabouts of his origins. The mystery man claimed his country was located between, or was called Torrid, and was located between France and Spain. But when he was asked to point it out on a map, he pointed to the Principality of Andorra, insisting that he had never heard of Andorra and that Torrid had existed for 1,000 years. He claimed that he was in Japan on business, something he had been doing for the past 5 years. His passport seemed to back up the story, as it was covered in previous customs and visa stamps, and he carried with him illegal currency from several European countries. He even had a driver's license issued to him by the mysterious country and a checkbook containing checks from an unknown bank. After more interrogation and confusion from both parties, the traveler was sent to a nearby hotel until an official decision could be reached. There, 2 immigration officials stood outside the hotel door until morning. It was then that they discovered the mystery man had vanished without a trace, which was troubling since the only possible exit was a window with no ledge 15 stories above. The Tokyo Police Department conducted an extensive search, but continually came up empty-handed. Hopefully, it was he really was from a parallel Earth, and he's able to find his way back home to Torrid. So there's that story that you brought up earlier.
And I don't think they went that. Did they go as far? I missed the end of that. Did they explain how they put him in a hotel room with guards?
Yes. Yep, they put him in a hotel with 2 immigration officials, and they stood there till morning, and he was gone.
I just want to, before I get back to Hollow Earth, Forbidden Ruin, people say Rogue Planet, but what they believe, it has a different elliptical orbit around the sun, and it would explain certain gravitational pulls of Jupiter. I don't know. I am not smart like you, sir. But it's not a rogue planet. It is a planet with a different elliptical rotation around the sun.
There's one in every family that's got to be different,
always has to be the weirdo. Yeah. E. Clay Thomason, thank you for the 99 cents, sir. It is most likely a ice cream soft serve.
Yeah, it looks like some sort of fudge with a face.
Or chocolate ice cream of some sort?
Yeah.
It might be, it might be soft serve.
What up, memes?
A relative of Amber or something, it says.
Bosch, thank you for dropping a like. I know there are other YouTubers bigger than me on right now that I love. Again, we'll be an hour earlier next week so we don't run into certain divisions shows.
And please check and make sure you're still subscribed to my channel. I'd love to hit 2,000 again.
Yes. Also, guys, in my description, how far are you from
it? That'll be the way to do it.
How far are you from it?
Eight subs. I went down to 92. Yeah, YouTube keeps just taking them just like every time they trickle.
In the description is his YouTube link, his Twitter link, and also your, if you don't mind me saying, your GoFundMe. Feel free to check all 3 of those out. I mean, the sap needs your help. He's not like me who's just on the rise.
Ran into a hard time. Everybody has been lately, guys. And look, even if you can't help somebody, sharing out a link, when somebody needs help can mean a lot, can mean the difference. So thank you guys so much. Those of you who have supported me. I'm getting back to work. Thank the gods.
Yeah, man.
Very soon. And, I'm very thankful to every person. I'm very thankful to the entire fellowship. Let me tell you, just 1 second, Scotty, if I may.
Take your time. We're going to blow you back
How freaking awesome this experience that I've been on the last 3 years has been. Through all the friendships that I've made, all the people I've been able to talk to, all the different types of minds. Every heated debate, it hasn't mattered because the consistency of this fellowship, of who we are, who we maintain ourselves to be, is in fact being good to each other. Y'all prove that every time someone shared out a link and tried to help me out. It was something I didn't want to do. I'm a pretty proud dude. I don't want to have to ask for help, but I needed it. And I knew there were other people out there that needed it. And I have seen time and again so many people come together and stand up and support one another, even if it's just sending a message of words and support and love. And thank you guys so much, because every one of you that did that, it meant a lot to me. And I'm sure it did to anybody else you're helping. This fellowship is an awesome place. Thank you guys so much for being a part of it. And I can't wait to see how much it grows into the future. And thank you guys, man. Be good to each other. Oh, that's so gay. Man, we are kind of gay. Right?
Sorry,
being loving and positive.
I know. It was too nice. It was too nice, buddy.
All right. I'll go back to being a jerk.
No, that was beautiful. Look, we're disagreeing in the chat. We're having everybody's being respectful. Like, that's what our fellowship's about. And we get dragged through the mud by people we don't agree with the narrative. well, the narrative is fucked.
Yeah,
Crikey.
no doubt.
E. Clay
One of the
Thomason,
best lines.
again, another $5. Dude, thank you so much. What's keeping us from continually digging a hole as far as we can go? Money, tech, hazards, all of the above.
Material.
We've gotten like
one thing, heat.
heat. I was
That's
just
the one
about to
thing.
say
That's
that. Yeah.
that's the one thing. Yeah, everything
Yeah.
has a melting point, and we hit that unfortunately. When we try
And that was
dig.
only like 8 miles to 10 miles down.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
the-
everyone knows that 8 mile track was hot, but the crust is even hotter.
Yeah.
8 miles down.
It's the spaghetti.
The Colas borehole. Actually, they
Hey,
could have
screw
gone
you.
further.
Oh, sorry. I thought
but
you were
they
insulting
lost
me.
funding. But no, they stopped the funding on it, and so that's why they didn't continue on. But like Mr. Grant Gregory was saying, the heat, pressure, those are the things they break down the materials. And I think we're only going to get so far until we have either hit hollow earth or create something that can withstand the greater pressures.
Yes.
Far beneath the earth.
They've got these little like mole type drones that move the dirt around them and put it back behind them.
Are you serious?
They're roughly about. I'll see if I can find. They're roughly about that big, and they've successfully been able to get it to go through sand dunes. And the reason why they
Really?
test on sand dunes is because it has the most amount of pressure and it gets everywhere.
Yeah.
It's essentially just like
It's like an Anakin drone.
well, yeah, it's think of it's like a round block that has round circles all the way around it, and it just continually moves in different speeds, determines where it goes, and that's probably the only way they're ever going to be able to do that and have some sort of really intense tracker on it to be able to do it. I don't think we're ever going to be able to actually dig a hole, but I think we will be able to dig further down. But the problem that they're running into at the moment is purely simply gears clogging up and battery life.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, dude, look, we have more knowledge of space than we do our own planet under the dirt in our oceans.
The oceans, especially, like
I mean, our own oceans, we've only done really know 10% of it.
It's easier to peer and go into space and explore something that consists of vacuum than it is to go down. But you're right, and there's so much unexplored.
Go where?
Well, so much then go into space in the vacuum.
But going where after that? I missed that part.
Oh, but it's more difficult going into an ocean or going in
I was hoping you would say go down again.
mother.
Anyways, I tried to set you up.
Boom,
It did not work. Thank you very much. And to answer you, Eric, yes, grower, little acorn that becomes an average size oak.
But I'm excitable. I put a lot of effort into it, though. I'm loud and proud.
I like
well,
to
it's
please.
the month to be out loud and proud.
I like to please, and I usually like to cry afterwards. 40 people watching right now, guys. Please make sure you hit the like button and share this out. Because other YouTubers have way more people watching right now, so just share it out. And dude, thank you also. I meant to say this earlier. Thank you also for Saturday. We had how many during our stream? 5,000 people came through,
That's incredible, dude.
and they weren't bots,
Oh my
right?
God.
You're muted, dude. So
Thank you,
bad.
Grant.
Yeah,
He's a
yeah,
shower.
awesome.
They took away 1,500 immediately afterwards. But then, because we ended up with 3-4 once the stream ended. But then within that 24-hour period, when you just asked for a manual check, it went back up to 5-5.
Yeah,
That is awesome, dude. Congratulations.
5,500 people came through, and that just blows my mind. If you were one of them, thank you. Thank you. Oh, I just did that to you. The means of destruction for $4.99. It's been quite a journey. Peace, heart, anime smile.
I think that's an ooh-woo face.
Ooh, woo face. Gotcha.
Yeah.
I love you, buddy.
Great
Thank
channel,
you.
guys.
I
Go
met
check
him.
out the Means of Destruction. I had him on the author interviews a few weeks ago.
Yeah,
I tried
Means
to
up in
mimic one of
Boston.
his
It was fun.
workouts, but it involved me putting down my pizza and hamburger, so I couldn't do it. Yeah.
Dude, you met Memes, right? Steven, did you meet Memes face to face?
In person, no.
Okay, so I did when I went to the Boston Sporking News meetup. Don't tell Gilkey I said that, or Gilkman I said that. It was a Sporking News meetup. Everyone was there to see me. No big whoop. It wasn't. But anyways, I met him there. He is so freaking smart. Like he was telling me about stuff, and I'm very
things.
good at being like, oh yeah, really? And I repeat like the last word he said. Oh,
But when his
yeah?
last word is like, diametrically opposed with him, and you're like,
He went somewhere I just wanted to curl up in a ball and cry. Like I felt so dumb.
Like you see his body, you hear that voice, you think there's no way this guy's going to be the smartest guy in the room when he walks in. But every time he gets you,
He got
he's
you, man.
awesome.
He
Yeah.
is awesome. I was going to read a little bit more. So there's also a different one. It's called concave hollow earths. So instead of saying that humans live on the outside surface of a hollow planet, sometimes called the convex hollow earth hypothesis, some have claimed humans live on the inside surface of a hollow spherical world, so that our universe itself lies in that's world's interior. This has been called the concave hollow earth hypothesis, or sky centrism.
So stars really are the campfires of the dead. Okay.
I think so. Cyrus Teed, a doctor from upstate New York, proposed such a concave hollow earth in 1869, calling his scheme cellular cosmology. It's not cosmology, it's cosmogony, like gynecologist almost. Teed founded a group called the Korean Unities based on this notion, which he called Koreanity. God, these people and their names. The main colony survives as a preserved Florida state historical site. Yeah, that's great. Teed's followers claim to have experimentally verified the concavity of the Earth's curvature through surveys of the Florida coastline, making use of rectilinear equipment. I'm done with that one. Holy
Dude,
crap.
I
Anal,
too
just say
understand.
anal.
I too
Rector,
understand
hardly
all
even
those
noted.
words and meaning. I
Yes.
too understand that.
Yes,
Yes,
me too. I need someone smart, like, culture, but he'd rather be on somebody else's channel. I want to get to Admiral Byrd, but I don't even see him talked about yet. Where's Byrd? All right, let's get to Admiral Byrd and the Hollow Earth. Hold on. We're coming way back up.
because the bird is the word.
Yes. Admiral Byrd.
All right, so the poll is in. Have we had multiple civilizations come and go and essentially repeat? 94% of the poll says yes, 5% says no, and 1% apparently doesn't exist.
Okay.
Because math is hard, so I don't know how they get that with 34 votes. Should be pretty even, but yep,
Okay.
there you go.
That is awesome.
I dig it. I mean, pretty universal.
Please go.
Yeah, it's pretty universal. I brought up the Pentagon talking about 400 UFO sightings, not too long ago, because I didn't know exactly what topic we were going to be hitting on exactly.
Yeah, no, that's cool.
But I mean, it just that kind of disclosure shows. I think people are pretty. That poll right there says people are ready. Okay, we're ready. Let's talk about the aliens.
Get some X-Files sort of stuff.
Yeah, let's get it done.
It's fun.
That is
That
not
was-
a
that was-
favorable picture.
That was deep. That was deep.
Man, it was
I
going deep.
appreciate that. Yeah, no, I'm going with
Spork
it.
deep.
Anything for $20 is what that picture
You
said.
got to feed into it, Walton. 'Cause if you fight it, people come at you even more.
Oh,
that
that's
was
right.
awesome.
That's
Yeah,
right.
you-
That's what I did. That's right.
I didn't even mean that. And that's the
That's
best
a
part
red
about
That's
it.
exactly the truth.
You totally did that, didn't you? So Admiral Byrd, Hollow Earth. Okay.
Wait, you can buy him on eBay? That's
Yeah,
weird.
just pieces of them. Who was this man? Widely considered the greatest polar explorer of or the 20th century. Oh yeah, they did editing. Admiral Richard Byrd. In 1925, there was a singular man on a mission to explore desolate land rarely seen by humans to that time. Wow, this person can't write. Admiral Richard Byrd. He went on to become the single greatest polar explorer. Okay, let's get down to the shit we're wanting to talk about.
You just gave up.
Yeah.
let's get to the good
If
stuff.
you go down 2 lines, they repeat the top line again. Just to
Yeah,
let you
I
know.
noticed
Yeah.
that. He
Thank you,
was
Grant.
leading pilot in the
Good eye, brother.
Okay. According to some, Byrd had actually found an additional world in the Hollow Earth, though his journal was mysteriously removed by the government. What was precisely discovered has always been shrouded in mystery, but it may have been astonishing. And he apparently informed readers of having entered into the Hollow Earth along with others, and having traveled 1,700 miles over mountains, lakes, waterways, green vegetation, and animal life. The outside temperature recorded 74 degrees.
I want to go on that trip.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
I would love to explore something like that.
Dude, that'd be dope. But his hosts informed him that he had actually been allowed to enter Agarthar, because of his high moral and ethical status. They claim that to be the protectors of planet Earth, to protect its inhabitants from the scurrilous activities of the power brokers and nefarious government agencies with impure agendas.
Do you get a Captain Planet ring? If,
I
you're
don't
in that society?
know.
Okay.
So Byrd flew into the Earth. So legend among those in the know was that Adolf Hitler, not a good man, did not die due to a suicide in 1945, but fled to Argentina to an SS base carved under the ice in New Swabia during the very early 1950s. He ended up in Antarctica.
So Byrd was the first one to do this. So he was essentially like the canary in the mine, and he was actually a bird as well. So that's kind of funny.
And he was flying.
So he went to Antarctica before South America?
Yeah.
Like that was like a stopping point? Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you ever heard of Operation High Jump, the biggest exploration ever to target the Antarctic, was organized to erase the Nazis, actually. It wasn't to I thought it was paperclip. No, that was bringing
that was to bring them over. And
yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah. And wipe the slate clean.
Needed to build NASA.
Yeah. But High Jump was exploration and also like military exercises, but it was like 40,000 military troops were deployed to Antarctica. So again, a grain of truth. Why do they need that many in Antarctica? Well, it was to try to wipe out the Nazis, but see, the Nazis were so far advanced that they actually beat us back and are controlling the world right now. That's what some people believe. Yeah. Yep.
Wait, does that mean like Angela Merkel is like in charge of everything?
That's a good question. That's a good
her mustache isn't as good.
There was a real quick side quest.
Sidebar.
There was a cavern or some kind of cave that was photographed, like a wide cave in Antarctica that was supposed to be housing the Nazis, or like that's where their facilities are built. I remember that story coming out a few years ago. Is that connected to what you were talking about?
Yes.
Part of that story? Okay. I mean, that's very interesting.
And there's also one part of Antarctica that they have never mapped or never been mapped publicly. And it's almost a big square.
Right.
Get out.
Yeah. I mean, it's really interesting. If you go, like, we could probably try it right now if someone wants to bring it up. If you go to like Google Maps.
Google Earth, yeah.
Yeah, Google Earth. I mean, they always like blot out the top and bottom of the planet. And
I've been searching for Santa Claus's place for years.
Yeah.
There's
they
holes
totally
there, Grant.
you.
There's big hole. They don't want you to see the size of the holes there.
So this is the article, the interview.
One
One of the interviews I was talking about. No, that's not the interview. Hold on, I'll find it. This one. Here it is. So after Admiral Byrd died, it's not proven that it was his, but it was said that a secret diary came out where he talked about these adventures in Hollow Earth and the fighting of the Nazis and stuff. But this was an interview before he died, and we're gonna listen to it.
Of course it was, Scott. What, he wouldn't be interviewed after he died.
That would be pretty dope, though. So hold on.
I got him from the underworld.
The world's most honored watch, and Whitnor, distinguished companion to the world-honored Longines.
Best commercials.
Good evening, this is Frank Knight. May I introduce our co-editors for
Frank.
this edition of the Longines Chronicle?
Okay.
And drink a cocktail at the same time. You know, only 70 or more years ago, about 35 years ago, our guest tonight found out whether there was any land north of the North American continent. He made that first discovery flight, and I must say that Admiral Byrd, our guest tonight, is not only our greatest living explorer, but he's been an inspiration to countless Americans. Admiral Byrd, you've been to both the North Pole and the South Pole. Is there any unexplored land left?
Definitely. Yeah, I mean, it's one of the most harsh conditions in the entire planet. Right?
On this earth that might appeal to adventurous young Americans?
Yes,
I was
there
freaking
is.
muted when I was
And that
talking
up
just
around
now,
the
wasn't I?
So great.
What I was trying to say was, now he just asked him, are there any places that we haven't discovered yet on the planet? Now imagine listening to this now, knowing he's been in the Hollow Earth. Now listen to his response.
North
right.
Pole and the South Pole. Is there any unexplored land left on this earth that might appeal to adventurous young Americans?
Yes, there is. And not up around the North Pole, because it's getting crowded up there now, because they find out it's really usable, not only to live in, but militarily. But strangely enough, there's left in the world today an area as big as the United States that's never been seen by a human being. And that's beyond the pole on the other side of the South Pole from Middle America. And I think it's quite astonishing that there should be an area as big as that unexplored.
This is a tremendous
So
challenge.
there's a lot of...
You see him catching himself, like he's talking about a land. He flew over Antarctica, but he's talking about this massive land, the size of Middle America, that hasn't been reached or searched yet. I'll just back it up just a hair again and listen to his response.
But strangely enough, there's left in the world today an area as big as the United States that's never been seen by a human being. And that's beyond the pole on the other side of the South Pole.
Beyond the pole.
Beyond it.
Beyond it. Or within it.
From Middle America. And I think it's quite astonishing that there should be an area as big as that unexplored.
This is a tremendous
So
challenge.
there's a lot of adventure left down at the bottom of the world.
Admiral, do you hope to see that?
I do.
Well, Admiral,
Yeah.
would you say that since you've been to both the extremities of Earth, are these expeditions to such far-off places, are they getting easier because of modern techniques, or is danger still close at hand?
Well, it's a little...
Is it getting easier because of modern techniques like Pall Malls?
Right.
Doctor says have 2 a day. Sorry, I love these old ones. These get me. Okay.
risky, but nothing like it used to be with the old slow planes and the small cruising radius where we had to put down bases. We replaced the dog teams, and of course that was a big improvement. But now the planes go much faster and they are safer.
Okay, hold on 1 second. I want to Forbidden Ruin. Deep fake technology before Instagram filters. No, this is definitely an interview he did. This is not a fake. It's been proven that this is definitely an interview he did. And there's moments in this interview you see he wants to say something.
And they have a much bigger cruising radius. You haven't got the danger of a terribly heavy load.
Admiral, an expedition to which I believe you're the advisor is now en route. What is that expedition doing?
Well, that's the icebreaker Atka, and it's a reconnaissance expedition. It's going down to the South Pole area to make certain observations and to look for some bases. They will be back in April, and they will report back, and upon the information we get from that undertaking, we will base the bigger expedition that's to follow.
Is that very definitely planned, or is that...
That is being planned right now. So I'm willing to say to you that there will be a number of expeditions that will follow, I think, year after year, at the bottom of the world, because the government has really become interested.
Well, Admiral Byrd, I
The
can
government
understand.
has become really interested.
Yeah,
See, I'm reading into stuff. I know I am. But you try to think about what's going through his mind. You know, there was an article. He did an interview in the South America saying he saw things. He went to different, he admitted to these things. And by the time he got to Washington, they squashed that article from even reaching America, you know, because they had that power at the time. Still do.
It's interesting. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, go. No, please.
It's interesting that Forbidden Ruin, he says only selected scientists need permission from up to 20 countries to explore either pole. I wonder why. Well, I mean, That's a good question. If it's international territory,
he said he was joking a little bit farther down, but I do ask that question. The world has been based on wars over land, and all these countries decided Antarctica, which is rich in certain things, oil, minerals, and shit like that. They decided we're just going to share this, and you have to have permission to come here. And you have to have permission where you go in Antarctica.
We're going to work on it together, so we don't reveal the secrets we find.
The two countries that hold the biggest share in Antarctica is Australia and Germany.
Oh, the deepfake technology was the joke. Gotcha. Yeah, what was that again?
Germany and Australia.
Yeah,
Australia apart. I think it's
a lot of Yahtzees in Australia.
42. No, not anymore. We sent them down there for the polar bears to eat.
Oh shit!
I think everybody can the interest in the North Pole because it's so near our greatest challenger, Soviet Russia. But why this interest in the bottom of the world? Nobody living down there, is there?
No, it's pretty cold. There's only one permanent resident. That's the emperor penguin. The little ones live further north. I tell you one reason they're interested. It's by far the most valuable, important place left in the world for science. That's why the scientific groups all over the nation are really interested. But more important than that, it has to do with the future of the nation, those to come after us, or even during your lifetime. Because it happens to be
his fingertips are going to stink his cigarettes because he keeps rubbing his fingers in the ashtray.
I was just about to say that he's fidgeting a lot.
Yeah.
You know, like, and I don't know the man personally, but it just seems like he's uncomfortable.
Oh no, great bloke, yeah.
Yeah, good guy.
Touched reservoir of natural resources. And, you know, as the world shrinks with an ever-increasing acceleration, far-flung places, once useless, like we thought the North Pole was, and no man's land, become very useful. The bottom of the world will be important, not only to us, but to our allies.
I was going to ask you, does it have...
So he talks about natural resources, but yet you can't use any of those natural resources. So, you know, it's one of those things where it just like he's like, oh yeah, you know, generations to come, all the natural resources, but yet you can't pull anything from there. As of right now, there are countries wanting to, but
have military importance.
It has some, and as the world shrinks, it will continue to shrink with an ever-increasing acceleration, thus bringing these places closer. And in the future, I can see a time when it will be very, very important strategically.
Well, has the development of air power increased the strategic importance of places like the
very much
Parma Peninsula, we'll say?
Very much so. Even now, if anything happened and we lost the Panama Canal, we would have to control the islands just north of Antarctica, which are part of Antarctica. Then between there and Cape Horn.
I've heard it said that there are 7 continents in the world, and one of them has never been seen by a woman, and that's Antarctica. Is that actually true?
Well,
that's the best line. There's 7 continents in the world, and only one's never been seen by a woman. It's called heaven.
You know why? Because there's no kitchens there.
Yeah, right? Not until they built one did a woman be allowed to go, and a washer and dryer.
The Power Peninsula
actually, you joke about that, but that's true. It was the first facility was actually there before the first woman went there, so technically there was a kitchen there before a woman.
That's awesome.
Wow.
Well, if the Power Peninsula is an island, as far as I know, that's true. No woman's ever stepped foot upon the Antarctic continent, and it's the most peaceful place in the world.
It won't last very long.
Look at that guy on the left. That guy on the left having his cocktail, just like, yeah, I hate my wife, I beat her.
The Arnold Bread Company in charge of frozen foods now. Is there any future for frozen foods down these frozen extremities?
Well, I think the human race can be helped by that. This was thought out by Dean Arnold, who's, in my opinion, a great humanitarian. He learned that we went down there after 4 or 5 years and finished a meal that we had left there.
Okay, hold on.
Worked very well over there.
He's talking about Dookie and food. I don't know what's going on right there.
So
there's a part bit further up where a lot of people seem to have watched it. There's a bit of a peak.
Do they know exactly where it is? Because I know there's one more part where it's...
Yeah, just keep going across. Keep going across. Keep going. Yeah, keep going further, and play it from about there.
About here? All right.
Yep.
I think down south, it may be more or less a thing of the past, but not other expeditions that go there. A lot of them go north now.
This latest expedition now on the way is a government expedition, I take it.
Yes, that's the government.
However, may I ask you, is there a great difference between the top of the world and the bottom of the world?
There is. Now, the North Pole is the center of an ocean 10,000 feet deep. The South Pole, the center of a plateau, 10,000 feet high. The North Polar Sea is surrounded by continents that are slightly frozen. The Antarctic continent is surrounded by a belt of ice, frozen seas of at least 1,200 miles thick. Now, the South is a plateau. It gets, in some places, 14,000 feet up. I've been over areas about 13,000, and it's a little bit chilly up there. So there's that big difference between the top and bottom of the world. The North really isn't very cold up there on the Arctic Ocean.
Not compared to the South. Admiral Byrd, we often hear it said that our young Americans now aren't as hardy as their forefathers.
That's
Do you think that Americans do measure up to
Dude,
the standards,
wait
the
60
physical
years.
standards and morale standards?
Can you imagine this guy right now? Like, if we just shot him into 2022, he'd be like, where the
He'd be
hell
dead.
is this Russia?
We found out Antarctica's a power bottom.
Yeah.
Past.
I do. I don't believe that. I think they're just as hardy.
Well, what would you say was the most valuable factor on an expedition? Is it morale or physical courage, or is it sheer equipment?
Well, I've always thought that loyalty was by far the most important trait. The British told me that when I first went down in 28, that I couldn't possibly get through the winter night without a mutiny if I took more than 20 men. But to serve science, I had to take 42 men. And then I took 56 the next time, and so on. So, and I did find that loyalty was the most important thing during the winter night when it's very hard on your nerves. I think
Sometimes you got to help a bro out. You know?
Yeah, sometimes you just need man love. What?
Which is not gay.
No, not when you're cold.
No.
Valuable characteristic at any time. Well, thank you very much, Admiral Byrd. It's been a great pleasure to have you here.
We
tonight.
didn't catch what they were
Pleasure to be
talking
with
about.
you.
All right, hold on.
The opinions expressed on the Longines Chronoscope were those of the speakers. The editorial board for this edition of the
Maybe it's
Longines
back here a little bit.
And so Chile, New Zealand, Britain, and so on.
Arctica and possibly to secure some of these resources?
Well, but I don't want to have the world fighting over the Antarctic.
Admiral Byrd, is there go after, I suppose, everything else would be.
Okay, hold on.
Uranium
Let's-
there.
Is it any secret? Is there uranium there? That would be the only thing that would be practical to actually go after, I suppose. Everything else would be economically unfeasible, wouldn't it?
Well, as we recklessly expend our resources, the time will come when we'll have to go after that stuff down there.
Well,
you know, I avoided what you said about it.
I mean, literally, he's saying we're going to have to. But yet, we only do scientific research down there. So, I mean...
Yeah,
That's
it's a scientific,
Well,
you know,
Yeah.
opal pit, you know.
I avoided what you said about uranium. I'm not sure about that. I don't want to
These
have
are
the world
scientific
fighting
blood
over the
diamonds.
Antarctic.
Yeah.
Admiral Byrd, is there a competition among other nations to try to get information about Antarctica and possibly to secure some of these resources?
Well, yes. There are now 7 nations very much interested. Russia is interested tremendously.
Goddamn Reds.
That I'm sure of. Australia has an expedition down there. The Argentine, the Chile,
The
New
Nazis.
Zealand, Britain, and so on. Now, you can understand those people down there being interested because they live down there. The New Zealanders, the Argentinians, the Chileans, and Australians. And so we don't do much about claiming anything.
Admiral, you make
Do we
this sound a little crowded. Are there that many expeditions now there or en route there?
Well, you know, as I said, it's the most peaceful place in the world, but I don't think it will be for long. because of this intense interest on the part of
They're going to let women
other
in.
nations and this nation.
Well, Admiral Byrd, are private expeditions a thing of the past, or is it
All right.
expedition and
So I swear I've seen one where he maybe, I don't know, it was more of a fumble on certain things, you know? I don't know. But it's interesting.
No, he seemed nervous, Scott. He
Yeah,
really
he
did.
did.
He
He's
was trying to
fidgety.
catch
I mean,
himself a little bit.
This dude's an admiral, okay? You present yourself a certain way as an admiral.
Right.
And he's all fidgety, like catching words. And, beyond the pole is that one that just like, what's beyond the pole? I don't get that.
What
that
does that mean beyond the pole?
What's up? Just another register. Look at everybody's here. I love you guys. There's 40 people watching. We have 41 likes, I believe. Please subscribe to Walton if you are no longer subscribed to him because he lost a lot of subs. The man did beat me to 2,000. It feels like a century ago.
Yeah, but where's the proof?
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
No more.
I didn't take
there
a
was-
screenshot.
There was
No
one
more proof.
short that Scott deleted. To
It didn't.
congratulate
It just
you.
disappeared. It disappeared. So Walton, you said you had an article that's something you wanted to touch on. We have another 15 minutes. So what was it?
I just had that. I had a couple of things. There's creepy stories like the one we just talked about from the guy from Tokyo. Could look over a couple of those. Could do that.
Okay.
Let's
You were
see.
not prepared for that, were you?
No, I wasn't prepared for that, but I'm going to segue into it anyway because I started listening to this. While may have attempted to recreate the famous stylings of the Beatles, none have been able to match the Five Four's unique vibe. A man who adopted the synonym of James
You want to
Richards.
share it so everybody can read with you?
Ah,
People like to see things on screen, Walton.
Okay, hold on. I got to go back over here.
No wonder he has less than 2,000 subs.
Give me a second, you son of
I'm sure if you were dressed up like
Later,
a sexy
awesome one.
redwood, he would have for you.
Oh my dear God! Is this still a thing? That's the tree things. It's passe.
What
Nobody
are you-
talks about it.
What are you
Yeah, I
talking
mean,
about?
definitely, you making no deal about it's definitely going to help.
Yeah, exactly.
A man who adopted the pseudonym of James Richards claims he was chasing his dog through Del Prado Canyon in California September 9, 2009.
Maybe you want to blow that up a little bit.
The rabbit hole guy. This is the rabbit hole guy.
Yeah, you should probably blow
That
that
was
up
the
to
one that went
like 200 maybe. I'll just give you a
big in it.
hand.
How's that? Is
I
that
mean,
good?
it's at least better.
Okay, good. When he tripped in a rabbit hole and knocked himself unconscious, upon waking up, he found himself in the next room to an unrecognizable machine with a man who introduced himself as Jonas. According to the strange man, while on work-related trip for a dimensional travel agency, he had used the machine to transport the unconscious Richards to a parallel Earth in order to help him. Of course, the logical thing to do in this situation was to start to discuss pop culture, which led Jonas to Richards on the topic of the Beatles, and which both dimensions shared. To Richard's surprise, in this alternate dimension, the Beatles were all alive and still creating music. Richard brought back a souvenir cassette tape entitled Everyday Chemistry, which was composed of Beatles songs never released in our dimension. I actually listened to a couple of these. It sounds like, it sounds like some tracks that were released by a couple of them at some point. That have been released and re-edited and shuffled. I asked my dad about this. He was a big Beatles nut. He said he'd never heard of it, but he said that there were bands in the 80s who created entire albums who sounded just like the Beatles. But I thought that was an interesting story. Actually, the one I wanted to go over.
Wait a minute, go back up. Go back up.
Yeah, sure.
Go back up. Go back up. Who's that? Go back down. Go. Who's she? What are we doing here? We're passing the women. Okay, keep going.
Oh, okay. I thought we were looking for
I was just looking.
No problem. The Montauk Project. This is what
that's
I
a good one.
Yeah. It's just a short version of the story, but based out of an abandoned Air Force radar station on the eastern end of Long Island, the Montauk Project was a series of top-secret United States government experiments following the Philadelphia experiment, whose purpose was to create the technology to render ships invisible to radar detection. The 1943 project was almost too much of a success, as in the USS Eldridge supposedly went literally invisible before being teleported into another dimension, eventually reappearing off of the coast of Norfolk, Virginia. Because many of the crew died when the project went wrong, and those who didn't were driven to the brink of insanity, official funding for the Philadelphia experiment was pulled. However, scientists and military officials were fascinated with the experiment's results and wanted to continue exploring the possibilities of teleportation and interdimensional travel. So the Montauk Project was launched in the 1960s. headed by Dr. John von Neumann. The Montauk Project focused on examining the psychological changes of those who travel through dimensions and determining why the Philadelphia experiment was a disaster despite its achievements in teleportation. According to their theories, humans are born with a time reference point that is linked to the electromagnetic fields unique to the Earth, to this Earth and dimension. This is why such a dramatic jump into another dimensional plane was detrimental to so many of the crew, causing insanity and death. During the Montauk Project experiments, von Neumann solved this problem by creating a computer-simulated Earth and altering the body's time reference points. According to the documents on the Montauk Project, von Neumann succeeded at sending people to other dimensions without consequence. However, upon the experiment's completion in 1967, a report was sent to Congress on their findings about mind control and interdimensional travel. Congress halted funding and terminated the project, fearing of mass mind control. What's funny is that
bullshit, I think.
yeah, I love Stranger Things is kind of based off of that. The different there's a whole bunch of different theories that come from that the Montauk Project.
Well,
conspiracy.
I like people talk about the Mandela effect, and a lot of people believe like all the atomic research of the last century with detonating atomic bombs and hydrogen bombs caused ripples in the fabric of time and space. And the idea that certain age groups remember certain things one way, but everybody else that are not in that age group remember it a different way because it was changed.
Right.
So the Mandela effect goes back to when he actually ended up passing away. Many people believed he died in the 90s in prison, which he got out of prison and became president of South Africa. So, but people, I mean, so many people believed that he died in prison to the point where they believed that something happened where there was a slip in time and they were actually remembering something from an alternate timeline. Like the Berenstain
Bears thing. I didn't have a chance to look at that, but I kind of went over. I saw it.
Maybe we'll do the Mandela effect next week. Walton, you can come back.
I was watching a movie the other day, and it's a very famous quote. I can't even remember what it was, and it was the same, but it was different. And I went, okay, must be in a different part of the movie. And I went through the entire movie, and I didn't know. I've been racking my brain the last 10 minutes trying to think of that. As soon as this come up, I knew the Mandela stuff was going to start coming into it.
Yeah, well, I mean, we're going to do the Mandela effect next week, and we'll have Walton back for that because it is one of my favorite topics is the Mandela effect because I buy into that crap, even though, like, it probably so easy to prove all that shit wrong. But, dude, I remember having books. It was Berenstein Bears, not Stain. It wasn't an AI. It was an EI. Like, it blows my mind. The certain age groups, though, it's weird. It's like certain age groups remember it one way where others don't. Like almost like that slip in time happened for that age group. So we'll go over that at some point. Go back up to, he said, where did he say it? The Garcia one?
Sure.
And that's one about she is from a different dimension.
Yep.
She probably got nailed. What?
Lernia Garcia. Let's see. In July 2008, a well-educated 41-year-old woman named Lernia Garcia woke up in her bed on what seemed like an ordinary day. However, she went on with her normal routine. She claims she found small details that seemed particular. For example, peculiar. I'm sorry. Thank you.
It's all right.
For example, her sheets and pajamas. I was actually enjoying you screwing up all those words because that's what I used to do on my channel.
Because you always did it, yeah.
I always. For example, her sheets and pajamas were different from what she remembered wearing to bed. She resolved to brush off this curiosity and drove to her place of work where she had been employed for 20 years. However, upon arriving at her department, she realized it wasn't actually her department, despite being in its usual location on its usual floor. Having decided that something weird was definitely going on, she returned home only to find the man from whom she says she had separated 6 months before, who acted like the separation had never taken place. Her new lover, whom she claimed she had been seeing for 4 months, was nowhere to be found. Even after hiring a private detective, his whereabouts remained unknown. There are no trace of him and at his alleged residence, nor any trace of his family.
You know what, though? If I was that dude, I'd be like, you slut. Even though there's no trace of this other dude, I'd be like, she's such a whore.
Use it against her.
Yeah.
Well, it seems more likely that Garcia's perceptions are the result of some neurological malfunction. She believes she woke up in a parallel universe Unfortunately for the alleged dimensional traveler, Garcia has not been able to return to her normal universe, leaving her stuck in a dimension where she doesn't belong with a boyfriend she can't get rid of. Wow. There it is.
Whoa. Time out.
we've all been there.
Time out.
Yeah.
Katina Martin. I remember Ed McMahon working for Publisher Clearinghouse, holding the big check, but they said he never worked for them.
What?
Dude, I remember that like
I
clear
remember
as day.
that.
Clear as day. The old commercials with them at the person's door. Oh my, what?
Yeah, I remember that, dude. Yeah, I remember those commercials.
Like clear as day. His voice saying, "You won, Publishers Clearinghouse."
Yeah.
No, that's messed up, dude. That is freaky. Wow, dude. Any other good ones here?
That is insane.
We'll have to remember that one. Katina, remind me of that one next week because we'll talk about that.
Well, another like the Mandela sort of thing. In Silence of the Lambs, he never says hello, Clarice.
Yeah, that's bullshit.
Yeah, not once.
Hello,
in the entire-
Clarice.
Well, here's an interesting one. Shadow people. According to Albert Einstein, there are 4 dimensions, 3 of space and 1 of time, with the special property of the ability to bend light. Stephen Hawking furthered this theory by questioning the possibility of many more dimensions existing in the realm of our universe. However, according to Hawking, matter and light are confined to the membrane of the dimension, making interdimensional travel impossible. Because space-time has the ability to bend light, however, there exists the possibility that we can see the shadows of people and even galaxies from other dimensions in our own.
So all I could say is I have seen shadow people. It usually was when I did like, a quarter ounce of cocaine back in the day. So that probably they weren't there, but I used to army crawl past windows because of them. Could they have been a dimensional thing and just the drugs kicked it out so I could see it?
Strange
No?
that
Okay.
strange that you mention things like that, because there are people who use psychedelics in order to see into the other realm. So to a degree, I'd have to say that taking a psychedelic and
no, it's one certain psychedelic. It's ayahuasca or whatever that is. What's the
you can pretty much use any.
No, you know which one. There's one that everyone who takes it.
Fucking ayahuasca.
Oh, you're talking about DMT.
DMT, yeah. Everyone that takes it with that form of drinking it. And let's even just talk about that. In the Amazon, with millions of different types of vegetation, they found the one plant that mixed with the other plant that made it so that the DMT could be ingested instead of smoked. Like, that in itself is something incredible. Like, how did they figure that shit out? But anyways, they say they meet an entity. Go on.
Man, brother, you were talking about cure for cancer. The cure of cancer is in the Amazon. Like it comes not in the Amazon directly.
The yin and the yang, dude. I believe that wholeheartedly. If Mother Earth makes a disease, there's going to be a cure for that disease.
There's a cure there. Absolutely, brother.
Monkey.
Supposed encounters with these shadow people are common in North America. One tale describes a woman meeting with a mysterious entities as a little girl while living in Dorchester, Massachusetts during the mid-1990s. During her first night sleeping in a new room, she claims to have seen a tall and unnatural shadow on the wall. To her surprise, the shadow stepped off the wall and glided around the room, wearing what appeared to be glasses. She saw 3 more of these shadow people near her closet. She eventually realized a large shadow was slowly enveloping the entire room, leaving her in pitch darkness before she leapt from her bed to take comfort in her grandparents' room. She believes that what she encountered that night were dimensional travelers, who most likely saw her as a shadow person.
That's crazy.
It was pretty nuts, man.
Different dimensional stuff it's more likely, like Bermuda Triangle, aliens, things like that. Like, they might not be from outer space. They just might be from a different dimension or a different time. One of the things I forgot to mention about the Hollow Earth, a lot of people see, UFOs or whatever they call them now, UAPs or something like that, going from outer space into the water, like off the coast of California and different areas. But what if it isn't them coming from space into the water, but just returning from space to where they actually are from within the earth? Boo, doo, 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 doo.
Talk about bending magnetic forces. I mean, it's just oh man. Just the we'll talk about it next week. It's a lot to cover.
It's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm just looking real quick because I did have an article kind of like what you're doing, stories, crossovers from different dimensions and stuff. So we'll read one or two more and then we'll call it a night. I hope everybody's enjoying this. Or can we have another poll? Would you like us to keep doing this type of entertainment? Or do you want us going back to crying about, Star Wars?
That's what we were originally going to do. We were going to complain. He said, well, why don't you come on and talk about how much you hate the last episode of Kenobi?
Yeah. Why don't we talk about different dimensions?
Let's talk about cool shit. Yeah.
I can't. Like, I need one day a week where we do something completely different.
Dig it, bro.
So, sorry, what was this show called again?
This one is aluminum spork.
What was that first word?
Aluminum.
Aluminium.
What is that?
Aluminium. You're saying it wrong.
It's aluminum.
I'm not saying it's aluminum.
No, it's not. It's aluminium.
That's weird.
Aluminum, and iron is iron.
Did I spell aluminum wrong?
No, you just said it in an American accent.
Oh, you weird foreigners. Okay. Here, I'll share this. We'll read a couple more and we'll call it a night. I'm having way too much fun. I'm sorry. Thank you.
Brother.
We still have 37 people joining us, so thank you guys. Frederick, did we read this one? Frederick Dotson, who is an expert on this very subject and who authored the book Parallel Universes of Self, recounts in said book how one day when he went to a salon for a haircut, he noticed a building next door. Since he had gone to that salon regularly every 4 weeks or so, he was surprised to see it there. Previously, it was an empty lot with a lawn and a park bench. Now, after 4 weeks, a building was now standing at that spot. When he asked the employee that worked in the salon, they said that it was built about 5 years before. The author did state that he applied one of his reality shifting techniques earlier before the visit to the salon. So, I guess he tried to.
They just skip over that. Oh yeah, I just applied a reality shifting technique, and there's a building there. So anyway, my hair cutter was about we don't care about that. What's this reality shifting technique?
Yeah, that's what I rather read about, right? So the dude who showed up, we read that guy. 4 girls took a wrong turn and found themselves driving in an entirely different unknown environment. That's
Wrong Turn. I've seen the movie.
Yeah.
Documentary. Yeah.
The ladies had been driving on black asphalt in the desert, but after taking a wrong turn, they said they found themselves driving on white cement surrounded by grain field and a lake. They spotted a building with a large neon sign making up illegible random squigglies, and as they pulled in for assistance, a large group of tall men poured out of the front door, seeming shocked and upset, waving their arms at the girls. Then the girls realized these tall men didn't even appear to be human, so they freaked out and drove off. While the girls were driving away, they noticed 4 peculiar egg-shaped automobiles mounted on tricycle-style wheels were following them. They sped ahead until the mysterious vehicles were out of sight, and when they reached the canyon and drove all the way back through it, they'd somehow returned to the desert they were originally in. Glad to be back. Oh, that's a weird one.
That's DMT.
Yeah, that's a good time.
They were just trying to get laid, them egg riders.
Yeah,
that's all.
The cabin in the Markawasi Stone Forest. Did we read that one?
No, but that was on my list.
Okay, so
it's an interesting one.
One day, a woman and her friend were camping at a site near the mysterious forest when they heard music coming from a small stone cabin that was lit up by torches. They claimed to see people wearing 17th century fashion dancing inside, and the curious woman was drawn to it. Or the curious woman. So she headed over and tried to enter. Before she could get inside, a friend pulled her away, and half of her body immediately became paralyzed. The half that had entered the cabin. Some believe that the woman partially entered a dimensional gateway, and when she pulled out, she experienced a shift that threw off her nervous system, resulting in partial paralysis.
No, real men never pull out, and if that was a dude, he'd be in a wheelchair. But that's interesting. I think it goes back to what we were talking about, the Montauk Project, about how people, if they move out of their dimensional time frame, then it freaks out their nervous
Well,
system.
I mean, as we are humans right now, I don't think we are capable of doing that without some type of vehicle or suit. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I could see it causing some really messed up, with the electrical pulses in the brain. I'm not smart for.
If I can get one more like an interdimensional condom.
Yeah. Sure. The
So I
strange
wonder,
man.
so I wonder, like, if you had a Faraday cage or something, with
Right.
that, how that would work,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that'd be kind of
or,
interesting.
or if it wouldn't do anything. I mean,
Right. That's a cool idea, Faraday cage, because it would black out all that shit.
Right.
So this one's the strange man who wound up shipwrecked in Germany from an unknown world.
Cool.
So this story goes, a peculiar guy popped up in a village where he was picked up and questioned by authorities. The only comprehensible language he spoke was broken variation of German, but he said his name was
Yorpa Warren, yeah.
okay. You
Yes,
know
yeah,
this
no,
one?
yeah. Oh shit, who was talking about this? I literally listened to a stream yesterday.
Yeah,
this
he
on it.
claimed he was from part of a world known as Sicaria.
Mm-hmm.
He conveyed that he was searching for his long lost brother whom he'd been separated from during a shipwreck. While he had geographical information regarding his home planet, such as 5 compartments known as Sicaria, Alflar, Aslar, Oslar, and Epular.
Good job, Scott.
Yeah, whoo.
That
He
was
couldn't
rough.
trace his route on shore, and he would wind up living in Berlin, where he was a topic of discussion. Wow. So he lived there, like, going forward. So
I'd
do you
like
know
to hear more about
this?
that story. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's got to be more to this, Grant.
You're
Yeah,
muted,
so
right?
essentially from I only heard a real brief thing about it yesterday. He was able to draw detailed maps of the area that fit almost exactly to Germany, but I can't even remember the country underneath it. But it was essentially that way. But it was at an almost exact 90-degree angle, and how he was drawing it, and the way in which he held his pen was a really weird technique. It was kind of like this, or is it like that? And that's how he would. That's how he would draw and write everything.
Wow.
He ended up living to being quite old.
You know what I find interesting? You said it was below Germany, like,
Austria?
well,
Is that
because they just came out with found an ancient continent that, like, goes in between, like, the eastern side of Italy and, like, down through the Mediterranean to the Middle East.
Oh,
Like, it
I
used
think
to
I'm
be
talking about.
connected.
Mhm.
So, like, was he from a dimension where, like, the poles didn't melt as much? Like Younger Dryas style. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, no, I don't know, but yeah, because I don't even know. It was just one of those videos that when you listening to a video, it just automatically plays next. And yeah, it was while I was working. And I just caught the end of it, and I was going through different things, and yeah, because the Alfla, I think they said it was. That was like a farmland district, and this other one it's like they were districts, but not states. That they were separated somehow.
Wow, that's weird.
Dude, that's interesting. I'd like to look more into that story. That
Yeah,
sounds like
well,
a
there's
really cool-
links. I'll put this in our private chat because there's links to every one of these stories.
Thanks, brother.
So this is an interesting one. In November 1986, a man named Pedro Olivia Ramirez was driving from Sevilla
Seville.
to a town called Alcalá. Oh, geez, come on, people.
You can do it.
When he went around a curve and allegedly found himself on a 6-lane highway. He continued driving down this straight road, seeing unfamiliar things like 20-story housing units, unidentified structures, and grass about 2 feet high along the edge of the road. Shortly thereafter, he felt a hot sensation within his vehicle and heard distant voices, one of which stood out, informing him that he's been transferred to another country in a different hemisphere. He continued driving on the highway for an hour, then stopped to examine the unfamiliar roadside area. After getting back in his car and continuing his drive, he spotted a sign pointing in 3 different directions. One was labeled Malaysia.
Malaya.
The other was Sevilla, and the last was Acapulco.
Abracadabra.
Yeah, yeah, pretty much. Pedro took the Sylvia detour, and without fully knowing why, he stopped driving. When he looked to his left, he was standing outside of his home. Frustrated and confused, he tried to retrace his steps, but could never find the crossroads.
Wow.
Yeah,
I read
is
that
one.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty funky.
So I'm assuming in that alternate one, he also wasn't murdered.
Yes, probably.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
This is kind of interesting. A woman named Carla Chase
Carol
McAfee was driving in San Bernardino towards Paris, California, when saw a road sign for Riverside nearby. Since that's where she and her family's roots were, she went to visit the familiar place. But when she arrived at the street she'd grown up on, she claimed she couldn't find her old place, and all of the houses looked different. She decided to drive to the street her grandmother used to live on, but discovered that it was altered as well. When she tried to visit the cemetery where her grandparents were buried, it wasn't there, and the lot was fenced up and full of overgrown weeds. Already baffled, Carol pulled onto University Avenue, a place where you normally find restaurants, hotels, and other businesses, but it was an unkept, graffiti-covered area, and something about the people there frightened her. She was afraid to get out of her car, feeling that if she's a racist, feeling that if she interacted with the people there, she'd forever be stuck there. After a couple more frustrating hours not recognizing things, she returned to Paris. A few years later, Carla's father died and was to be buried in the same cemetery as her grandparents. When she arrived, everything was back to the way she remembered it growing up. Carol believes she visited a parallel dimension with an ill-fated version of Riverside.
Pretty cool.
That's funky, man.
Yeah, that's a pretty cool story.
Women in their directions.
You know? People.
Lost without a kitchen.
Yeah, it's just crazy. These people are just nuts. What are you going to do? I'm sorry. I'm like so stuck on this stuff.
Here you go.
But they're all the same stories.
Yeah, that's the one that the same page I pulled up.
Oh, okay.
But I didn't read a few of them. 6, 7,
well,
and
we read her on mine. We didn't read this one.
Mm-mm.
Can you read? Because my voice is
sure, man. Ong's Hat, New Jersey, was founded by someone in the 19th century by a man named Ong after he threw up his hat in the air and lost it to a tree branch. Or maybe slipped into another dimension. Who knows? By the 1920s, the city had become a ghost town, but Ong's Hat wasn't forgotten. On the contrary, the abandoned town became the topic of one of the earliest internet-based conspiracy theories. During the 1970s and 80s, a new scientific paradigm called chaos, which is concerned with everyday experiences such as the sound of a fan or the buzzing of a computer, began to gain popularity. Two chaos scientists named Frank and Althea Dobbs developed a theory that consciousness could be modeled as its own universe, and if one could master one's own mind map, the ability to control the chaos and possibly travel to other dimensions would be achieved. According to a long-debunked hoax pamphlet, 3 other chaos scientists joined the Dobbses in founding the Underground Institute of Chaos Studies in Ong's Hat, New Jersey. It was here that they discovered the gate to an alternate dimensions by putting scientists in a modified sensory deprivation chamber called the Egg. Allegedly, they succeeded and mastered the science of interdimensional travel. On their explorations, they discovered a world that had never developed human life but sustained plant and water, which is where the chaos scientists were said to reside ever since.
Wow. That's a weird one.
I like those. I like those ones where it's, the Earth would have changed different. There was one that apparently, I can't think of it. It was apparently a Neanderthal woman who had traveled into our dimension, and when
totally have sex with her.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, as you would. She was essentially saying that humans don't exist. They were extinct, and in her world, the meteor that killed the dinosaurs or whatever it was landed in the heart of Africa, where where man was. So they were well developed without humans being around. That humans are what like. Yeah, so it's just like, that's an interesting sort of story.
That is an interesting story, yeah, because if the Cro-Magnon hadn't ascended up into their territories, then the Devonesians. I mean, we don't know what exactly the Devonesians did, but there's definitely a possibility that Neanderthals will still be here. We hunted them to extinction.
Yeah,
Right.
but here's the thing. You got to understand. If this was true, and they make a movie about it, they're going to have Zeppelins in the sky because every alternate dimension uses Zeppelins for some freaking reason.
Airboats are awesome, dude. They're just awesome.
Oh, the huge manatee.
Oh, man. This is some good shit. All right, so we're going to wrap it up, guys. It's been over 2 hours. I want to thank everybody for hanging out with us for this long. We still have 42 people watching. You guys are dedicated, man.
Thank you.
So we're going to bring back Walton, give him another chance to try to get past 2,000K. Unless he starts bringing me down, then we're getting rid of him again.
It only seems fair.
It only seems fair. But we're going to give Walton a chance to try to grow his little channel. So
thank you.
He'll be here next week. Walton, do your research on the Mandela effect. I want ones I've never heard of before.
All right,
dude, I've got a list of about 10 that I've gone through to double check and triple check because I know for a fact, went through old family photos and stuff, and I was 100% wrong on all of them. And it blows my mind with some of these things.
That's awesome, dude. I can't wait. The one Mandela effect that affects me is the girl in Moonraker having braces, even though she no longer does in the movie. Now, are you thinking about the girl who smiles at him at the end of Happy Gilmore?
No, the one with braces, that's Jaws. That's the bad guy.
Yeah. Jaws, though, is at the end of Happy Gilmore. A girl with braces smiles at him. Could that be what you're confusing it with? That's awesome, though, if you are. Because that's funny. So yeah, guys, next week we will be doing the Mandela effect on aluminum spork. Thank you, Walton, for hanging out with us. We'll see you next week. Grant, as always, thank you for being the greatest producer, and the chat. You guys, literally, thank you so much.
Before we go, the final results of the poll came in. 92% said they want to keep this slot here as aluminium spork.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, guys. Everybody, Wednesday will be the first ever Mad Dump. Don't blame me if he ruins my channel. But please support him because Mad is hilarious. And he is allowed to do 25% Mad, 75% Spork. And he's really helping me out because I can't stream like that anymore. My streaming schedule now is Saturday Night Dump, which is taking off. Sundays on Nina Infinity's channel, and here on Mondays with Mad taking up Wednesdays, and hopefully some shorts in between. Walton, tell them where they can find you, and anything else you want to tell them.
Oh, guys, please check me out on my channel, author Stephen Walton. Thank you guys so much for supporting this channel, supporting my friends, and supporting one another. Appreciate you. Remember to support your independent content creators, whether they are a YouTuber, making videos on any platform, a novelist. We got some great writers in this community, or a comic book artist. We don't have an industry to support us. We only have each other, and we rise together. Thank you guys, everyone out there who supported me and helped out with my GoFundMe. Much appreciate you. And guys, be good to each other.
I'm here with Jeremy from Geeks and Gamers, and I have a question for you, sir.
Yeah, man. What's up?
Who should hit 2K subs first, myself or author Stephen Walton?
Who the hell's Stephen Walton?
The author.
I mean, by default, you, just because I don't even know who the other person is. And you're a great YouTuber. You're an amazing YouTuber. You've inspired me.
I didn't want to tell everybody that.
You've inspired me to do better because your stuff is so bad. But, but in all seriousness, who is Stephen Walton?
Someone told me he loved Pray Trees or something like that he wrote, or Wrinkle in a Tree. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not. I can tell you one thing: Geeks Gamers is not affiliated, but we do love Sporking News. Subscribe to Sporking News. Get him to 2,000 subs. Love this dude.
Thank you, brother. I'm here. Just saying. That I don't know how that popped up. My computer got stuck. Be good to one another. Wash your hands. Wash your
ass.
Yeah. Peace. To my fourth wave road dogs. See all those people?
I see them.
That's a lot.
Yeah, you're more popular.
Wait till you see my $5 level. Look at that.
Oh wow.
Those were all gifted. Are you set up for that?
I remember we used to make fun of this, and now I don't want to anymore.
Yeah, it's pretty embarrassing that you're not ready.
Look, he has 2 Georges.
Hey, good night, everybody. Love